Deadpool is a fan favorite character, and one of my favorite runs of Deadpool is the Daniel Way run of Deadpool, which we covered over on our other channel. So today I'm going to bring you the full Daniel Way run of Deadpool. Off the shores of San Francisco, a pirate ship sails through the waves with everyone's favorite merc with a mouth, Deadpool. But as Deadpool sits on the deck, he takes a knife, stabbing himself in the leg, letting the blood drain into a bucket. He takes that bucket, pouring it into the waters, asking himself, is he just bored? Does he need a hobby? No, what's really boring is immortality. He jumps off the side of the boat into the shark-infested waters and he waits. Maybe he does all of this because he wants attention. What if instead of getting paid in cash, he got paid in attention? The shark begins to swim up, and before it can even bite down, Deadpool takes out a gun, firing it. A few moments later, he puts the bullet-riddled shark onto the deck and he puts his mask back on and he says, I hope they like sushi. Sitting on the table on the deck is Death. She says that she believes sushi actually means with rice. There's one place that she used to go to in San Francisco called. But Wade stops her asking, Tekomaki? I used to go there too. Wait, aw crap, you're not real, are you? Death tells him no, not to him. And just like that, she fades away. Deadpool lays down looking at the sun, thinking that maybe he'll just sit here and wait for the sun to cook his flesh into jerky and watch helplessly as the seagulls pick at him. But then he hears a voice, and the shark says, wow, that's real original. Seeing as how that was his plan, he should probably go get his own. Deadpool yells that he is totally original! Everything he does is original! And the shark tells him no. What he is alone. All of those friends that he thinks he has, Weasel, Blind Al, What's His Face the Bird. Deadpool says that he completely accepts the fact that he is different from everyone else, and the shark tells him that that is actually the problem. He puts up this front about being different from everyone when in fact he never shows anyone the real him. All of those heroes that he fought with, was it that they didn't accept him or that he didn't accept them? Deadpool says, all right, I'm done. When you're getting a life lesson from a dead fish, it's definitely time to reevaluate things, but where do I start? The shark tells him first he starts by getting on that big boat over there. Deadpool asks, what big boat? He looks back and he sees a giant cruise ship passing by and he says, oh. A short while later, Deadpool is brought aboard the cruise ship and the medical staff quickly hooks him up to life support. The captain asks how is he doing, and the doctor says surprisingly, normal. His skin is damaged from the sun, but his vitals are better than they should be. The captain then asks, did he have any sort of identification on him? And the doctor tells him no. All he had was this, and they pull out Deadpool's mask. The captain sighs, stating this guy is probably the most wanted and most hated man on the planet. Call the Coast Guard, get this traitorous piece of crap off my boat. A few moments later, Deadpool is thrown off of the boat and back into the water. He swims back up and he looks out asking if San Francisco is over there. If he can fit it anywhere, it's gotta be San Francisco. The next day, Deadpool puts on his rollerblades, his short shorts, and his crop top, setting out for a day on the town. However, it doesn't take long for Deadpool's fantastic day to be ruined by a group of kids making fun of the way that he's dressed. He stops for a moment thinking that he should just kill them. No? Yes? No. He could just break their arms. But as Deadpool starts to skate over to break their arms, he begins to lose his balance. He wobbles over, reaching out his hand, and suddenly he receives a high five. The couple on the moped shout that he is beautiful, don't let anyone try to convince him otherwise, and the couple rides off. Deadpool asks, I'm beautiful? Yeah, I am beautiful. I should go celebrate this beauty with some alcohol. So he heads to the first bar that he sees, the Fleet Tavern, which happens to be a Navy bar. Everyone inside stares at Deadpool, and Deadpool asks, is it just hot here, or is it me? A few moments later, he's sitting at the bar stating, great, here I am trying to turn over a new leaf, and in the 6 hours that I've been here, I've just created more of a mess. Maybe I should just give up trying to fit in. But then that's when Deadpool hears it, his one chance to fit in. On the TV, the news plays a video from Cyclops stating how they reject Norman Osborn's views on mutants. They've been pushed, prosecuted, persecuted, and punished for who they are. That is why they are building a utopia for mutants on an island off of the coast of San Francisco. Deadpool jumps up from his stool stating, that's it! I'm gonna join the X-Men! The next night at Utopia, Deadpool asks, so, what do you say? And Cyclops tells him no. As a matter of fact, hell no. Later that night, Wolverine says, you know, it's messed up turning Deadpool away like that. Cyclops asks, what do you think I should have done? Let him stay here? And Wolverine tells him of course not. He's way too volatile to be in a contained environment. But by the same token, isn't he too volatile to not be contained? One of the girls there then asks, what's so bad about that guy anyway? And as Cyclops and Wolverine look at each other, they both look back and say everything. She then says, well, a lot of people could say that about Wolverine, right? Isn't that why we're all here? The next day, Deadpool heads out into the streets to try and figure out what to do next when he runs into a public announcement going on at the courthouse. The man speaking is Ellis Kincaid, a man who's been trying to fight with the courts forever to try and have his daughter returned home from the X-Men. He tells everyone that he's not anti-mutant, but he's pro-parental rights. His daughter is a minor, and she'd been transferred to a school on some sort of military compound. So that is why he's calling on the help of anyone who can hear his words and do anything. Back on Utopia, Cyclops is watching the interview asking, "What do we know on this guy?" And Prodigy tells him that his name is Ellis Kincaid from Portland, Oregon. He's divorced and was in a kind of a slump a few years ago. But it all changed when he hit the jackpot and all of his assets were bought out by United Holdings Limited, a distinct subsidiary of Oscorp. Cyclops says, right, so he's in Norman's pocket. No wonder he's getting national news coverage so easily. But who's his daughter? Just then Mercury comes in shouting, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing, just turn it off!" Cyclops turns off the news and Mercury says, "I am so sorry about this." And Cyclops tells her, "No, I should be the one who's sorry." Mercury then stops for a moment and says, "Oh God, are you gonna make me leave Utopia?" And Cyclops says, "No, of course not. You can leave if you choose to, but we are not forcing you to stay. We want you to feel safe here. This may look bad for us, but once they speak with Archangel, we'll have our legal team sort this whole thing out." Mercury says thank you, and Prodigy escorts her out, and once she leaves, Cyclops sighs. So about Deadpool. A short while later, Domino asks, "You want me to be his chaperone?" Cyclops tells her that they need someone to keep an eye on Deadpool, and Domino and Deadpool have a history together, with Domino shouting, "Yeah, bad history." Deadpool, who just so happens to be sitting on a roof debating who he's going to shoot because he's bored, looks down the scope with a voice asking him, "Do you see anything you like? Or maybe you're looking for someone." Hey! Domino then stands there staring at Deadpool, who in his own way is completely ignoring her. Domino says, "Look, jerk, I didn't come all this way to be ignored. I came here to offer you a spot on the X-Men." Deadpool spins back with his gun, telling her, "No, you're not. You came here to kill me. That nerd you work for knows that I'm too much of a loose end to leave me hanging. Isn't that right? Now, if you want to live and walk away from this, just back up a few steps." Domino starts to walk backwards, asking, "How is this supposed to?" But before she could finish, she falls through a window, down into a building, into a pool of pancakes. 372,844 pancakes, to be exact. Deadpool jumps down and he asks, "So, still friends?" Domino grabs her gun, telling him, "You sure as hell ain't acting like a friend." And Deadpool then asks, "Act? Me? Never! I keep it real." After helping Domino out, her and Deadpool sit down to eat the pancakes, and Domino asks, "Why not just kill her?" Deadpool tells her, "Well, if Cyclops really wanted to whack me, he would have sent a backup crew the minute you went down. So, down to business. I will join the X-Men on one condition. That is that I wear my very own X-Men suit with my name on the back." After putting on his suit, Deadpool asks, "So what now? Does Cyclops want to see my moves?" And Domino says, yeah, maybe." While they talk, Deadpool notices the TV is on and a few new pieces on Ellis Kincaid are up. And he asks, "Who's that guy anyway?" Domino says that's Ellis. And Cyclops is already dealing with him. It's just a legal thing. It'll blow over in a few weeks. Deadpool says, "Oh, it's gonna blow over sooner than that. I'm totally gonna waste that guy. And by waste, I mean assassinate. Problem solved." But a short while later, Deadpool heads down to the news station where Ellis is speaking out. Cyclops, who is watching the televised interview, hears a voice shouting, "This is what happens when you mess with my peoples." Cyclops says, "Oh no." And Deadpool steps into the camera asking, "Is this thing on? Hey Cyclops, all your worries are gonna be over in a minute, buddy." Deadpool then begins to shoot out the cameras, but before the feed can cut, there's one man watching and smiling, and that man is Norman Osborn. Deadpool points his gun at Ellis, and he asks, "Do you want it from the back?" But before he can pull the trigger, there's a snap, and a set of lights comes crashing down into Deadpool. And across the street, Domino stands there with a smoking gun. As Deadpool begins to pull himself out from underneath the lights, he asks, "How am I supposed to get out of this now?" And Domino tells him, "By following her. Quickly." Deadpool jumps down yelling, "Hey Domino, did you see me on TV? How did I look? Wait, were you looking for me?" Domino says, "Well, she missed him, and they should probably go back to her hotel and grab a drink." Deadpool begins to tell himself, "Please do not let this be a hallucination." And 18 minutes later in Domino's room, Deadpool takes another drink, and as he brings the glass down, he says, "Something tastes off. Did you put roofies in this?" 50 minutes later, over in Utopia, Domino tells everyone, "Okay, I got Deadpool under control, but please don't ask how." Cyclops then says, "Good. Now, if you could all excuse me for a moment, I need to speak with Wolverine privately." Everyone begins to leave, and as Domino does, she stops and waits by the door. Cyclops whispers to Wolverine that he needs Deadpool out of the picture, permanently. A short while later, back at Domino's hotel room, Wolverine pops the lock to the door, and he starts to sniff the air. And he says, "Ah, hell, how long has he been gone?" Domino tells him long enough to get away, hopefully. She heard what him and Cyclops were talking about. There's no way she's going to let them slaughter Deadpool. Wolverine says, "I didn't come here to slaughter him. If you're talking about out of the picture, we were going to bring him on a special mission to China, which is out of the picture." Domino says, "Wait, you weren't going to kill him?" And Wolverine tells her, "Nope, but now we may not have any other choice thanks to you. So if you have any information as to where he's gone, now's the time to talk." A short while earlier, while Deadpool was tied to Domino's bed, he says, "Cow scared the ever-living hell out of me." She begins to cut the ropes, asking, "What does that have to do with anything?" And Deadpool asks, "What are you scared of? I'm not leaving it till you tell me." She pauses for a moment and then says, "Chickens." Deadpool asks, "Chickens? I'm scared of those too. Why are you so afraid of them?" She says, "Well, because, you know, it's none of your damn business." She pushes Deadpool out the window. A little while later, Prodigy contacts Wolverine telling him that they spotted Ellis on one of the security cameras at the Powell Street station. It looks like Norman sent some bodyguards as well. Wolverine and Domino sneak down into the sewers to try and catch Ellis off guard, but as Wolverine takes the vent cover off, Domino asks, "So what's the plan exactly?" Wolverine says that he has set it up so that the power will blow in about 5 minutes. During the confusion, they're going to go in and extract Ellis. Domino is the first to crawl in, but as she does, she starts to slow down. Wolverine bumps into her butt, asking, "What the hell, you stuck or something?" And Domino says that she can't move forward. And then a rooster begins to cluck. Shortly after that, the power grid goes down, and as one of the trains comes to a screeching halt, top of the train is Deadpool, telling himself, "I got lots of work to be done." Within seconds, the train platform becomes a war zone as Deadpool begins to shoot up the area. Ellis's bodyguards ask what they're supposed to do now. They don't even have guns. And Ellis asks, "What? You don't even have guns? Somebody get them guns!" One of the bodyguards makes a call back to HQ asking, so what are they supposed to do in a situation like this? The woman who picked up the phone tells the bodyguard one moment while she transfers him to Mr. Osborn. Osborn answers and asks, "Where's Ellis?" And the bodyguard says, "Well, he's right here, but we're in the middle of..." Norman cuts him off, stating, "Take him to the street level. He needs to be out in the open." The bodyguard says, are you sure about that?" And Norman tells him, "Yeah, now do it." Up on the streets, the news channels begin to gather around to cover the recent power outage, and as Cyclops watches, he already knows what Norman's plan is. Norman is planning on killing Ellis while the X-Men are chasing after him, so that he can ruin the X-Men's reputation while he's still in the shadows. Back down in the vents, Wolverine cuts through the ceiling, and as him and Domino fall out, she asks, "You're not going to..." And Wolverine says, "Tell them that we are stopped by a chicken? Not a chance. This one's going to the grave. We need to move out." Back on the streets, Deadpool heads up onto the roof of a nearby building and gets ready to take Ellis out, but in another building, one of Norman's snipers also gets ready to shoot. The snipers begin to fire downward, and just as Deadpool gets ready to shoot, Ellis shouts, "Wait! I lied! I lied about everything!" But as Deadpool begins to pull the trigger, Wolverine runs in, tackling Ellis to the ground. And then Wolverine looks back and he looks up at Deadpool, who isn't even aiming in their direction. And he asks, "Just where were you? Oh." Ellis begins to latch onto Wolverine's leg, telling him, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And Wolverine tells him, "Just get." Ellis then yells, "It was all Norman Osborn. He made me say those things. You need to tell the public." Wolverine looks at him and says, "Your days of public speaking are over." Up on the building, Deadpool lowers his rifle and he says that there's only one thing left to do. Domino asks, "Surrender?" "Please." Deadpool says, "After all of this, do you really think that they're going to accept my surrender?" And Cyclops says, Yes, we will. We can also do it another way." Down below, a reporter and her cameraman tried to watch what's going on, and Wolverine tells the cameraman that if he wants some exclusive footage, come with him. Ellis here is going to stay and have an interview, and he's going to tell her everything. Back up top, Cyclops fires an optic blast, and Deadpool rolls out of the way, saying, "Come on, you're not even trying!" Domino and Surge begin to focus their fires, guiding Deadpool right into Colossus's path. But after being punched in the face, Deadpool tells Colossus, "You've been pretty fast for a..." But before he can finish, Colossus picks him up, and Deadpool does the only thing that he thinks he can do, and that's headbutt Colossus. Colossus then asks, "What are you doing?" And Deadpool takes off his mask, laughing. And he spits up all his own blood onto Colossus. While the two of them fight, Wolverine and the camera watch, and Wolverine says, "Told ya." Just then, as Deadpool dodges more attacks, he rolls, grabbing his gun, and as he gets back up, he points the barrel of the gun right at Cyclops' head. And Deadpool tells him, "Come on, admit it, I got some moves." Cyclops doesn't say anything, and Deadpool yells at him, "Why did you have to do me like that? I was the best thing that ever happened to the X-Men." Cyclops grinds his teeth, telling him, "You are not now, or will you ever be, an X-Man." Deadpool then asks, "But what about my costume?" And Cyclops turns, hitting him in the chest with another optic blast. Wolverine turns back to the cameraman, asking, "Did you get all of that?" And the cameraman tells him, "Yeah, but the battery died." And Wolverine turns back to Deadpool and asks, "Are you done now?" And Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, he's done." Cyclops gets ready to hit Deadpool again, but he stops and asks, "Wait, just what the hell happened? And Wolverine tells him, we got set up. Deadpool planned all of this. Cyclops asks why, and Wolverine says, because Deadpool wanted the X-Men to look good, and it worked. We're heroes again. Deadpool coughs up asking, how does it feel? Seriously, how does it feel to be a hero? 2 hours later, on a bus, Cyclops says that he doesn't know what to say. And Deadpool says, no thanks are necessary. Cyclops cuts him off stating, other than, get the hell out of here and don't come back. Deadpool tells him, that's pretty harsh. Well, I was leaving anyway. Plus, you know what to say, but you just won't say it. He gets on the bus heading to New York, and Cyclops quietly says, you got some moves, Deadpool. And Deadpool opens up the window shouting, I heard that! It was just like any other day for Peter Parker as he gets off a train getting ready for work. As he steps off the train, a family visiting New York stops him asking if he could take a picture of them. He tells them, of course, give him a moment to set the focus. But before he has a chance to take the picture, the camera is snatched out of his hands by someone. Deadpool took the camera and tells the family, all right, on the count of 3, say Deadpool's the greatest of all time. The wife asks what, and Deadpool snaps a picture, tossing the camera back, telling her, because it's true, duh. Dude, try to take that picture, don't quit your day job. As Deadpool walks up the streets, he says, all right, now I need to find Spider-Man and get his attention. How am I going to do that? Later that night, Peter goes out on patrol and stops by Mr. Cheng's deli to pick up some milk. As he waits to pay, he starts to notice things are quiet, like a little too quiet. He makes his way towards the back, kicking open the door, and that's when he finds Mr. Cheng dead, along with several other bodies that have been shot. He quickly takes off his costume and calls the police to tell him what he found. And while one of the other officers asks him if he saw anyone suspicious, he can only think of one thing. A short while later, atop a nearby building, Deadpool burps, stating, sorry, couldn't help myself. And Spider-Man swings down asking, you couldn't help yourself? You're sicker than I thought. Deadpool shouts, Spidey, what up, baby boy? Haven't seen you since Amazing Spider-Man 611. Out of curiosity, how sick did you think I was? Without saying a word, Spider-Man begins punching and kicking Deadpool within seconds. Deadpool then shouts, holy crap, he's fast. Just then, Deadpool's thrown from the building and lands onto the streets on his head. Spider-Man jumps down, stating, that man had 7 kids. He kept a photo of his late wife in the store and moved it around all day so that she would always be in the sunlight. Deadpool then leans up asking, what are you talking about? And Spider-Man punches him again, shouting, Mr. Cheng, the man you killed last night. Tell me why. Deadpool thinks to himself, did I kill Mr. Cheng? And then he says, all I wanted to do was get Spider-Man's attention. Spider-Man gets ready to hit Deadpool again, and just before he does, he lets out a loud burp. And Spider-Man drops him, stating, I can't do this. This is disgusting. Deadpool tells him, I'm sorry, I might be a little sick after all the hot dogs I ate. And then he lets out a loud fart. A short while later, Spider-Man webs Deadpool up asking, why? Why didn't you fight back? And Deadpool tells him, because I wanted to check out your moves. You know, so I could be more like you. Spider-Man tells him, yeah, right. For your information, I don't kill innocent shopkeepers. Deadpool yells, I didn't kill that guy. Spider-Man brushes him off, telling him, yeah, whatever, save it for the cops. And Deadpool shouts, come on! What time was the guy killed? Because I might have an alibi. Just check the paper. Spider-Man calls into Robbie to follow up on Deadpool's claims, and Robbie at the paper tells him, yeah, some weird dude with a scarred face was here about 7 o'clock. He wanted to run an ad on the front page, said he could pay $1 million. Just another nut job wanting to meet Spider-Man. Spider-Man hangs up the phone, and Deadpool tells him, it's okay, you can apologize to me after you get me down. I will wait. Spider-Man lets him down and tells him to leave New York. Now. And Deadpool tells him, hang on. Was the hit on Mr. Cheng a pro hit? Spider-Man doesn't respond, and Deadpool goes on stating, I'll take that as a yes. Maybe you could help me fill in the blanks. You know, I have a unique perspective on these kinds of things. Deadpool holds out his hand to shake, but after a moment, Spider-Man shakes his hand, telling him, fine, but no killing. A short while later, Spider-Man brings Deadpool to the scene of the crime, and as Deadpool looks around, he says that these angles are bonkers. Whoever did this must have been jumping around like a monkey. Like, Hit Monkey. In case you didn't get it, Hit Monkey's a hitman who's a monkey. Spider-Man stares at Deadpool, and Deadpool tells him, you don't believe me, huh? And Spider-Man yells, of course not. Deadpool tells him, look, sorry to say this, but Mr. Cheng must have had some blood on his hands. The monkey only hits hitters. Must have been someone big for him to get involved. Spider-Man starts to walk out, stating that this makes no sense. He's leaving. And Deadpool tells him, wait, it's true. No one has ever seen Hit Monkey, but everyone in my line of work knows about Hit Monkey. He's a legend, and he's right here in New York. Deadpool then says, okay, we won't be able to just find Hit Monkey. We're gonna have to bait him out. Who do we know that is a high-profile gun for hire here in New York? And Spider-Man tells him, you! Meanwhile, across town, a detective arrives at the scene of a murder, begins to go over the evidence, when another officer says that they have a witness. The detective says fine, he'll go talk to them now, just give him a few moments alone. As the detective walks out, the officer questions the witness, stating that he will leave him out of it, and leaves. Once the two men are alone, the detective asks, where's the gun? The witness lifts his shirt, stating that it's right here. So this makes us even, right? The detective says, yeah, just make sure to make that statement just as I said. And that girl causing problems, she won't be making any statements ever. Just don't go around talking to anyone about anything. Guy in there started to run his mouth, and well, you see how that worked out for him, right? Just then the sound of a silenced gun can be heard. It's like a whoop, and the hitman's face is suddenly splashed with blood. He shouts, hey! Wait, why do you look so sad? The gun fires 2 more times and Hitmonkey looks at the crooked cop and the hitman and says, eek. The next morning, Spider-Man jumps down into a warehouse calling for Deadpool to come out, but as he lands, his spider sense goes off. Spider-Man then asks if he's pointing a gun at him, and Deadpool says, yeah, 2 of them. Now prove you're not a monkey. Spider-Man then asks, isn't talking enough? And Deadpool tells him, nope, wait, what are you doing? Spider-Man wiggles his thumb, stating, I'm showing my thumbs. Monkeys don't have thumbs. Deadpool finally steps out wearing a maid's outfit, stating, I knew that, so what's up? Spider-Man says, well, last night a crooked cop was shot. And Wade shouts, it wasn't me! And Spider-Man tells him, I know, I was following you last night. However, the strange thing is that at the scene of the crime, there was a bloody paw print. Deadpool yells, see? Validation! It was Hitmonkey. What do you want to do now? Spider-Man tells him, well, that's why I came here to ask you that since, you know, he's after you. Deadpool shouts, save me, Spider-Man! And Spider-Man tells him that this is unbelievable, and Deadpool asks, is it the dress? He then says, okay, we need to set a trap. Now, how would we get Hitmonkey to find us? Just then, Spider-Man's Spidey sense goes off, and he says by following him. Seconds later, Hitmonkey jumps through the window, shooting at Deadpool, and Deadpool shouts, ouch! As the two fall back in the ground, Spider-Man asks how bad is it, and Deadpool says that he'll be healed up in about 20 minutes. Spider-Man then pauses for a moment and then says, wait, Hitmonkey can't really kill you, right? Well, yeah, but getting shot hurts. Spider-Man then asks, why don't we just let Hitmonkey assume you're dead? Deadpool tells him, even if we do that, it still doesn't solve the problem that Hitmonkey is still out there. Spider-Man then says, okay, I got an idea. And a few seconds later, he tells Hitmonkey, all right, Deadpool's all yours. Hitmonkey looks at Spider-Man for a moment, and then he turns back, unloading his clips into Deadpool. The two then go out for a day in the town, taking nice pictures and generally having a good, nice day. Deadpool yells, hell with that plan, and he points his gun at Spider-Man. The two begin to struggle and Hitmonkey jumps back in shooting and ends up hitting Spider-Man. And Deadpool tells him, told ya, getting shot hurts. As the two fall off the supports, Spider-Man swings in, grabbing Deadpool before he can hit the ground. And then he ends up throwing the two of them into a pile of boxes. Deadpool jumps back up, telling him, ha, nice rescue, jerk. Now it's time for me to leave. And Deadpool runs. Spider-Man gets back up, but he sees Hitmonkey staring at him. Just then, Hitmonkey drops his guns and begins to look at Peter's wound. But before he could fully check it out, Deadpool then springs back up from behind, shouting, take his stinking paws off me! Spider-Man tries to tell Deadpool to wait, but before he can, Hitmonkey jumps back, picking up his guns with his feet, and he begins to open fire on Deadpool. A short while later, back at Peter's apartment, Peter gets patched up and changes into a new costume. Deadpool asks, don't you have like a spider cave or something? Spider-Man yells, no, don't get comfortable. We're just here to change clothes and get back out there. Deadpool says, well, Hitmonkey's probably long gone by now, which is good for New York unless he decides to come back. The strangest part, though, is that Hitmonkey didn't kill me. And Spider-Man shouts, I was shot! And Deadpool tells him, well, you know, not on purpose. Spider-Man then says, yeah, well, it did seem like an accident. And you looked so sad. Like, you regretted what you did. Deadpool then heads to the bathroom and says, since we're partners now, I should warn you about what's going to happen next. Spider-Man then yells, just open the window! And whatever you're going to do in there, don't tell me. Deadpool closes the door and begins to grunt, stating, okay, but don't say I didn't warn you. After several minutes, Spider-Man waits and then knocks on the door asking what's taking so long. After not getting an answer, he opens it to find the bathroom empty and his costume missing. The next morning, New Yorkers across the state read the headline, Spider-Man dies. While the news begins to travel, Spider-Man figured the best way to get answers as to what was going on was to attend his own funeral. Spider-Man then waits and watches as the people arrive, going on to pay their respects, and among them is Hitmonkey. That's when it clicks in Peter's head. This is all Deadpool. Peter shouts gun. Suddenly the crowd begins to panic and run for the exits. One of the officers then asks, how was there a gun brought through the metal detector? And Deadpool jumps up from the casket with guns, stating, easy, I didn't go through the metal detector. Deadpool then tells the officers, there he is, arrest that monkey. But instead of pointing their guns at Hitmonkey, the officers point their guns at Deadpool. Deadpool asks, why are you aiming at me? I'm the good guy. It's the monkey you want. One of the officers laughs, telling him, yeah, right. And just then Hitmonkey knocks the two officers out, grabbing their guns. Before Deadpool can even shoot, Spider-Man grabs him, asking, what the hell? Do you know how much damage you did by faking my death? Deadpool tells him, not really, and Spider-Man pushes them down as Hitmonkey opens fire on them. Spider-Man then says, okay, I'm gonna draw Hitmonkey's fire so that we can split up, and you can have your guns back now. Deadpool looks at his gun and sees the barrels all bent up. Deadpool then yells, well, that's just great. Deadpool gets out from behind cover and charges at Hitmonkey with his bent guns. And just as Hitmonkey jumps up to shoot, his guns are shot up with webbing. Spider-Man then flings Hitmonkey into the wall, and as he slides down, Spider-Man says, okay, take it easy, little fella. No one's going to hurt you. But after a few moments, Deadpool asks, well, aren't you gonna web him up or something? And Spider-Man tells him he's not sure. It just seems so inhumane. And Deadpool asks, what, are you a PETA spokesperson now? That monkey is literally a killer. After a few more moments, Deadpool then looks at Hitmonkey stating, you're right, we're not so different, are we? We didn't ask for this. We were born into this life. Maybe together we can change. Together. How about it? Hitmonkey stares at Deadpool and then jumps down, chomping on his head and grabbing his gun. Spider-Man tells Hitmonkey to wait, and as Hitmonkey pulls the trigger on the bent barrel gun, it explodes in his hand. The explosion knocks Deadpool to the ground, and just then, morgue officers begin to run and shouting, holy, Spider-Man's alive? And Spider-Man says, yeah, but Deadpool isn't. And the officer says, who cares? He's not a hero. 4 hours later, in the Rikers Island prison, Deadpool says, you know I'm just going to bust out of here, right? And Spider-Man jumps in telling him, yeah, how about I help you out a little? Peter tells him that he needs to get out of New York and take that psychotic monkey with him. Deadpool asks, so Hitmonkey's body wasn't found? Spider-Man says, nope, now leave. Deadpool then says, it's kind of ironic, right? This town loves you so much, you could get away with murder, but they will never give me credit for so much as helping an old lady across the street. Spider-Man tells him, oh, boo-hoo, I'm a lonely, misunderstood freak in nature, no one loves me. And Deadpool says, wow, it's pretty cruel. I'm just trying to be a good guy. Spider-Man then swings back out of the cell, telling him, no, you want people to love you for being good. It's not the same thing. Deadpool sighs. Yeah, it is. And that's when there's a loud crack-a-boom as lightning strikes and Deadpool stands tall, stating that there are two things that he really needs to say. One, that helmet, dumb. And Thor tells him, 'tis a matter of opinion. What, pray tell, is the second observation? And Deadpool points at Thor's hair, stating, you have girl hair! Pretty girl hair! You may think that you have some classic Nordic beauty or something, but you're no better than me. Thor holds out his hammer and shouts, I am a god, I wield the Mjolnir. What art thou working with? And that's when Thor hears, shing! And Deadpool pulls out a sword that is nearly as big as him. However, in the real world, where in rural North Georgia, Deadpool is sleeping on a bus, he says, time to get my smite on. Suddenly, the bus comes to a screeching halt and Deadpool is thrown into the seat in front of him and he asks, what the hell? The bus driver looks out the window and sees a group of men about to board the bus and tells everyone that he's sorry to inform them, but he's pretty sure they're about to be robbed. A few seconds later, one of the robbers steps onto the bus shouting, listen up, everyone, you see my gun? This makes it an official holdup. The robber starts to walk down the aisle collecting the passengers' valuables when he notices that there's someone in the bathroom. The robber knocks on the door and a few seconds later he's thrown back out of the bus and in front of a second robber. Deadpool steps out stating, haha, sorry I took so long. Had to wash my hands. Hygiene is very important to me. He then points at one of the trucks that stopped the bus and he tells the second robber to go get anyone else that's there so that he can do some multi-smiting. The second robber holds out his gun telling him, I'm not sure what that even means, but I'm the one with the gun. And Deadpool quickly disarms the man, turning the gun on the robber, telling him, doing that was an honest mistake. Now if you could, get the other guy out here. The robber nervously steps back yelling, hey Lightning, come on out. And then a large man steps out of the truck and as he walks towards Deadpool, Deadpool asks, who are you supposed to be? The large man strapped with several car batteries tells him, they calls me White Lightning. Deadpool stops and stares for a moment and then he falls to his knees laughing. As he does, a bolt of lightning strikes down on him and Lightning asks, ain't laughing now, are ya? A short while later, Deadpool begins to wake back up and as the passengers try to get a signal, the bus driver shouts, you're alive? Deadpool thinks to himself, you know, it'd be nice if someone for once said, thank God you're alive, instead of, well, anyway. The bus driver turns back asking, did anyone else hear that? And then the bus driver looks around and he finds a walkie-talkie. The voice from it then says, got a call from some folks stranded out on the highway saying that they've been robbed or something. You out there, Sheriff Dale? The bus driver picks up the walkie-talkie asking where did this come from and Deadpool tells him the cops dropped it. You know, the ones that robbed us. Now go get my bag. The bus driver says that he's not so sure. They don't seem like they were cops. And Deadpool tells him, get my bag. The The bus driver hurries over to underneath the storage and he asks which one is his, and Deadpool says, "The one with all the guns in it." The next morning, Deadpool heads over to the Mason County Sheriff's Department and he asks the sheriff at the front desk if he can see Sheriff Dale. The sheriff says, well, he ain't here, he's out on patrol. And Deadpool then asks, well, what's taking him so dang long? The sheriff then asks, what does he mean? And Deadpool says, I just needed to confirm something. His voice sounds familiar, so maybe you'd remember me. Deadpool holds out his mask to the sheriff, and the sheriff, being the second robber from that night, starts to panic. A short while later, a female sheriff comes in stating that she's sorry for being late. She had to wait for the babysitter, and Deadpool calls out telling her, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. One more thing, there's a new sheriff in town. The woman then asks, well, what happened to the old sheriff? And Deadpool tells her that he was actually going to ask her the same thing after he gets her name and those digits. The woman laughs at him, telling him that her name ain't none of his business. And if he wants to talk to Sheriff Dale, he's probably hanging out about his still. Deadpool then asks, his what? And the woman says, his moonshine still. He can get away with it, so he does. Deadpool then says that it sounds like he gets away with a lot of things. And the woman tells him, yep, he has himself a gang and everything. Goes around robbing gas stations, title loan shops, all that kind of jazz. Oh wait, are you someone that Dale robbed? Are you here for revenge? Deadpool points to the badge in his chest and he says, not revenge, justice. And the woman says, oh, well, you should kill them all then. We've been needing someone to come through and put those jerks in their place. Deadpool yells that he can't. That wouldn't be heroic. And the woman tells him, well, it may not be heroic, but it needs doing. Folks in these parts take pride in where they live, and we can't have the whole county looking like a bunch of backward hillbillies. After a few moments of thinking about it, Deadpool then says, down at the still, you say? Later that night, down at Dale's still, he looks through his binoculars and he calls out to his nephew Clovis, who happens to be White Lightning. Lightning steps out asking, what are you hollering about, Uncle Dale? And Dale tells him that it looks like they got themselves an interloper. Well, how about they show him a couple 100 volts of good old North Georgia whoop-ass? Lightning comes running out from underneath the still, charging right at the passing car, and then he blows it up with his lightning. Deadpool watches from afar and he fires his rifle, hitting the battery pack that Lightning is carrying. The battery acid sprays on his face and he starts to take everything off, shouting, I gotta see you naked, Uncle Dale! It's my only hope! The entire time that he's doing that, though, Deadpool's kind of rolling around laughing. A few seconds later, ATF agents light up the scene and tell everyone to get down. They're all under arrest. Dale lays down next to Deadpool asking, are you with those Avengers? And Deadpool asks him, what? Dale says, who is it? Was it Darlene? One of the ATF agents says, no, what? No, what do you mean? You got sold out by one of your own. And Dale asks, who was it? Was it Darlene? Because she's the mastermind behind it all. Just look at us. Do we really have the smarts to run an operation this size? Lightning then says that he thinks Darlene has gone and set them up. And Dale shouts, you reckon? Deadpool leans up stating, actually, he's telling the truth. Later at the sheriff's station, Deadpool explains before he left, he may have pulled the gun on Darlene and made her confess. The ATF agent then says that they really should be turning him in for everything that's in his file. And Deadpool asks, so you read it? You know who I am? And the ATF agent says, yep. And Deadpool then asks, so you know if you happen to actually try? The ATF agent then uncuffs him, stating, yep, now get. With the news of the original Avengers reuniting, many people took it as a sign of hope, that hopefully their world will stop having to see so much violence. Others, however, took it as an opportunity to party, like those at the Poppy Field nightclub in Las Vegas. When the reporter asks the club manager how everyone's reacting to the new Avengers, the manager says that it's been so long since the kids had any kind of heroes to look up to. Who are they supposed to look up to, huh? Because it ain't no dirtbags like Deadpool. It just so happens that Deadpool is watching the news that night. And the next night, the manager of the Poppy Field nightclub goes into his office when he suddenly hears a voice telling him, hello, do you happen to know who I am? The manager looks at Deadpool and he tells him, I'm gonna take a guess and say you're the guy who broke into my office and didn't realize the costume party was last night. Deadpool tells him, oh, I know all about the costume party. I saw it on TV. You're the guy who defamed me. Called me a dirtbag in the memory servers. The manager steps back telling him, wait, you're actually Deadpool? Am I gonna, die now? And Deadpool tells him, I happen to notice that this room has a panic button. I'm gonna have to say this now. You might not want to push that button. Some bad things might happen. The manager tells him, look, I don't want any trouble. And Deadpool tells him, oh well, if that's the case, I should be going then. As Deadpool begins to leave, the manager sighs, letting out a sigh of relief. But then pushes the panic button. Down in the club, the button triggers Deadpool's makeshift explosives and he blows apart Club Poppy Fields. A few moments later, the casino owners run to the security room to figure out what's going on, and while they do, they notice that one of their casinos is losing a lot of money. One of the owners looks at the camera and says that it's Deadpool. A robotic voice from behind then tells everyone that there's no way it's a coincidence that he's here and everything's exploding. The owner looks back asking, "Can you handle Deadpool?" And the Las Vegas superhero, The House, tells him, "It'll be my pleasure, but there's something I'm gonna need you to do." Back over at the casino, an announcement goes out that in just a few moments, the inaugural B. Arthur lookalike contest is about to begin. Seeing how much Deadpool loves B. Arthur, he grabs his chips and he begins to run around the lobby when he suddenly stops. He looks up, telling him, "You gotta be kidding me. This giant mechanical suit looks nothing like B. Arthur." As the news reporters begin to get onto the scene, they begin to describe the events and how House is taking on Deadpool. Deadpool asks, "The House? That's the best you could come up with?" House blasts Deadpool back, telling him, "I could do you one better, Wade. Welcome to Las Vegas, where the House always wins." Deadpool gets up, telling him, "Wait, I know names. Who's in that suit anyway?" House pushes the button on the side of his helmet, and as it starts to retract, the man inside tells him, "My name's Weasel. Guess what? I'm a hero now." 43 minutes later, Deadpool wakes up trapped in a box. And not any box, the torture box that Deadpool put Weasel into so long ago. The box is lined with razor-sharp objects, making it near impossible to move around without cutting yourself. He then asks if this box is just for him, and Weasel tells him, "Yeah, I've been keeping it in storage. So don't worry, I'm over the fact that I was once in there." Deadpool tells him that it's cool that he's gotten over it, but there's one thing that he could do. You know, you could go screw yourself. Weasel shouts that he shouldn't have come to Vegas. "This is my city now. I'm the hero around here. I even got a cool accent now." Deadpool says, "I would clap for you, but you know." Anyway, out of curiosity, how much money are you making? Weasel tells him that he wouldn't believe him if he told him, and Deadpool tells him, "Come on, try me." Weasel turns back, hearing the voice coming from somewhere else, and as Deadpool sits on a ledge, Weasel asks him how. Deadpool tells him, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you. But anyway, I got a proposition. I'll like it very much." Weasel asks, "And what if I don't want to do it?" Deadpool tells him, "Well, if you say no, then I'm gonna beat you with a giant hammer, the one right over there. But if you say yes, well then you'll be making twice as much as you're making now. How about we do that? Expand. From the looks of it, you got 2 house suits, right? How about we use them, partner?" Later that night, the supervillain Grizzly bursts into one of the casinos. Right on cue, Weasel makes his appearance as the House. Just as Grizzly starts to fight back, he's hit in the legs with a laser. Everyone looks back asking who was it, and Weasel tells him that he would like to introduce Wildcard, the House's new sidekick. Just as the two of them make their debut, the roulette table is thrown at them, and Grizzly says that he's going to show them how the Grizz handles business around here. Grizzly picks Deadpool up by his suit and he begins to bear hug him, and just then, Deadpool rockets the two of them off into the sky. Once they stop and begin to float, Deadpool pulls back his helmet stating, "Hey, I got a proposition for you. You're gonna love it." Later, once Grizzly is, dealt with, Weasel brings Deadpool over to meet his bosses, and they tell him that Wildcard is a hit. He even makes it look better than him. Just who is Wildcard? Weasel tells them, well, Wildcard would rather remain anonymous, so... Deadpool pulls back his helmet, telling them, "Hi, the name's Deadpool. Perhaps you've heard of me." The owners look at Deadpool and state that he is a maniac and everyone hates him. Does he honestly think they're gonna let him run around in a super-powered armored suit? And Deadpool tells them, "Well, do you honestly think you have a choice?" The owners then tell him, "Well, that's a good point." Later, back at Weasel's lab, Weasel walks in, stating, "Thanks for making me look bad in front of everyone." And Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, well, look at all the press I'm getting. Wildcard is so hot and fresh, I can do no wrong. But, okay, maybe I did show you up big time. Sorry about that. How about this? We switch." Weasel asks him what does he mean, and Deadpool says, "We switch suits. Who's gonna know the difference?" Weasel says, "Well, the casino owners will." And Deadpool tells him, "Not if we don't tell them." Weasel then asks, "So he's gonna be the sidekick?" And Deadpool shouts, "Embrace your destiny, friend!" Just then the alarms go off, and as Weasel gets to the computers, he sees a security feed of Grizzly breaking back into the casino. Deadpool hops into the house suit, asking what is he waiting for. It's time for them to go spank some bare ass. The two of them quickly finish suiting up, and they go out to stop Grizzly, but after taking a few hits, Grizzly begins to head towards the counting room. Grizzly then punches into the room where the casino holds and counts all of their money, and he tells everyone, "All right, bag it all up." Once Grizzly has the money, Weasel stands in front of the doorway asking, "Do you really think that you're going to get through here?" Grizzly turns back and runs full speed into Deadpool and Weasel, knocking them down. And Weasel shouts, "Come on, we gotta hurry!" Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, about that, I got a headache, so I'm just gonna take it easy now." Weasel runs off to catch up with Grizzly, telling him that he should be ashamed of himself. And Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, they should be." Weasel then follows Grizzly outside and goes back to fighting, and just when Grizzly thinks he can take Wildcard out, Weasel hits him with a blast, slamming him into the ground. Grizzly gets back up, and as he looks, he sees Wildcard charging up another blast, aimed directly at his head. Everyone asks if Wildcard is going to kill someone, and once Weasel is done charging, he reaches down and honks Grizzly's nose. Everyone then starts to cheer for Wildcard, and shortly after, Deadpool comes out shouting, "Yeah, let's hear it for them!" The crowd begins to quiet down, and then the cheers turn into boos. And Deadpool asks, "Oh, so it's gonna be like that, huh? After all I've done for you and I saved this crappy town, now you're gonna turn on me?" Weasel reaches out telling him, "Dude, chill. It's not the time to freak out." And Deadpool tells him, "Oh no, it's the perfect time to freak out." And he punches Weasel. Everyone starts to panic and run away, and Deadpool begins to pick up the money and then Grizzly, and he begins to fly away. Everyone watches as House gets away with both the casino's money and a supervillain, and among those people are the casino owners. As news spreads of Weasel's betrayal, the casino owners ask Deadpool, why would he do something like this? And Deadpool says it's obvious, Weasel's a disgruntled man. Not only did he feel like he was made to look bad, but he felt like you guys weren't even backing him up. But if there's one thing you should know, it's that Weasel will be back. And the casino owners ask, are you sure? And Deadpool says, buddy, I can guarantee it. He'll probably be back first thing in the morning. Later, Deadpool heads over to the warehouse where he's keeping the house suit and Grizzly, and tells Grizzly, all right, we're hitting them again first thing tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, a short while later over the Mojave Desert, Weasel makes a call to the only person that he can trust, Blind Al. Blind Al tells him that he should be running. Run and never look back. He's getting involved with Deadpool, and Weasel shouts asking, I just let Deadpool win? And she says, well, you lost the moment you started playing his game. That's how it works with Deadpool. Weasel yells, no way! I'm here and I'm gonna take Deadpool out once and for all. And Blind Al says, yeah, well, you're an idiot. Just then the explosion goes off and Deadpool and Grizzly get to work robbing the casino again. Weasel climbs into the wild card suit stating, all right, time to make that traitorous jerk pay. Over at the casino, Deadpool breaks down the walls, and as they do, Grizzly asks, can you stop with all the smoke? Deadpool tells him, yeah, sorry about that, wrong button. While Grizzly starts running for the vault, Deadpool waits in front for Weasel to arrive, and just as he does, he shouts, there you are! Weasel begins to beat into Deadpool, shouting, you are so unbelievable! Betraying me like this, we used to be friends! Deadpool stands back telling him, dude, you gotta stop living in the past! Look around, it's a world of opportunity! Everything here is for the taking! Join me, and with our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order. Weasel charges up his laser, yelling, I will never join you. And he fires a blast, burning right through Deadpool's helmet and head. He then waits for a moment, asking, did I do it? I did it! Now I gotta get Grizzly. Meanwhile, over at the vault, Grizzly starts going through the bags, and he realizes that there's something weird about the bags. He tries to figure out what's going on, and the vault door slams down shut with him in it, and he sighs. A few hours later, after turning Grizzly in and making the repairs needed to the Wildcard suit, Weasel gets a call from the casino owners who still think that Deadpool is Wildcard. The owners state that they ran into a problem after cleaning everything up. The house suit, it was empty. Weasel's body vanished. Weasel sighs, and behind him, Deadpool asks, is that bad news or what? Weasel spins back asking, how? And Deadpool tells him, easy, I snuck out. Why do you think there was so much smoke there? In the vault, all fake money. Screwed you over. Weasel tells him, great. Did you come back to kill me? And Deadpool shouts, of course not. The house was a crappy superhero and you need to face it. You were gonna blow it sooner or later. That is why you're going to return as being Wildcard. Weasel thinks about it and then says, wait, what about you? And Deadpool tells him, well, I'm gonna have to disappear. Weasel shouts, I knew it! Where am I supposed to go? And Deadpool tells him, there's only one answer, and we both know it. The next day, Deadpool heads into the casino to meet with the owners, and the owners tell him that it's nice of him to show up an hour late. Deadpool tells him, well, justice may never sleep, but I do, especially on Wednesdays. One of the owners says, actually, it's Friday. And Deadpool yells, and Fridays! Another owner tells him, right, well, on to business. Was Weasel taken care of? And Deadpool tells him, of course, he's in a box. Okay, good meeting. See you guys like in what, 2 weeks? Another owner then says that he might not realize this, but as the chief of security, he was expected to brief them every morning and night. Deadpool scoffs, man, you make it sound like a job. And the last owner says, well, yeah, because it is. Deadpool pauses and realizes what this means. Wait, I have a job? No! After a few minutes pass, the owners ask, "What do you mean I quit?" And Deadpool says, "Just what it sounds like. This job sucks and I don't want to do it anymore." One of the owners then shouts, "We had an agreement," and Deadpool says, "That's a good point. However, I have a gun." Another owner then says, "Fine, go ahead and leave. We can just have any idiot wear that suit. There was never anything special about you." Deadpool stops and tells him, "Now, that you really shouldn't have said." After beating up all three of them, Deadpool walks out of the boardroom cracking his knuckles, stating, "Haha, much better." He then looks forward and sees someone and asks, "So, are you gonna stand there looking all scary, or do you have something to say?" Ghost Rider tells him, "Well, you've already said it all." And he throws his chains around Deadpool's neck and he begins to speed off. As Ghost Rider drags Deadpool through traffic and onto the desert, he says, "You will pay for your transgressions of being an assassin." Deadpool tells him, "Wait, I'm not an assassin. I'm a mercenary." There's a difference. Ghost Rider calls back, "Not to me, there isn't." As Ghost Rider drives on, Deadpool begins to pull himself up the chains and then he reaches over to the handbrake, pulling it on the bike. It comes to a screeching halt and the two of them are thrown off the bike and into the air. As Deadpool comes crashing down, he pulls out his guns and he opens fire. When he lands, he ends up breaking several bones and says, "Okay, maybe that wasn't a good idea." There was a loud whoosh, and the Ghost Rider tells him, "You're damn right it wasn't." Ghost Rider picks Deadpool up by his neck and tells him, "It's time for Wade Wilson to feel the pain of penance that is long overdue. The penance stare will reveal all of your past sins, and we will see through the eyes of those that you have wronged." Deadpool asks, "So, it's like a highlight reel. Well, what are you waiting for? Roll the damn tape." As Ghost Rider stares into Deadpool's eyes, something happens and it knocks the both of them apart. Johnny Blaze stands back up, realizing that he reverted out of his Ghost Rider form. And he sees Deadpool and he asks, "What the hell?" However, in Deadpool's mind, he begins to see his life back when he was 18 and tried to kill his parents. Then when he was picked up to be trained as a soldier. Then when he was told he had cancer and he volunteered for treatment. Back in the current time, Deadpool wakes up screaming and he sees Johnny and he punches him right in the face. Johnny gets back up and Deadpool asks, "Wait, aren't you the Ghost Rider?" And Johnny tells him, "Yeah, sometimes." Deadpool says, "Well, cool, I'm Deadpool all of the time, and I don't need to be reminded of it." Deadpool picks Johnny up by his shirt and asks, "What did you see?" Deadpool pushes him back, telling him nothing I haven't seen before. Johnny points off into the distance, telling him that the town is 80 miles that way. And Deadpool sighs, telling him, "Great." He then asks if he can use his ghost powers and repair the bike. Johnny says, "No, I fix it with tools." So Deadpool sits and he waits. And after a little bit, Johnny gets back up, telling him, "All right, let's ride." Deadpool waits for a moment and then says someone told him once at the end of it all, what they regret is not the things that they've done, but the things that they didn't do. Johnny doesn't say anything and then Deadpool asks, "Did you come after me to kill me?" Johnny tells him no, he didn't. Ghost Rider did, and no. Ghost Rider probably wanted you to see something. If he meant to kill you, you'd be dead. Deadpool then asks, "So, do you think I deserve to die?" Johnny tightens up one last bolt and he says, "Based on what I know, yeah." Deadpool looks at him and he tells him, "Thanks, man." In the small town of Little Fork, Wisconsin, Deadpool makes a stop at a gas station to fill up on microwave burritos. But as Deadpool goes to pay, the clerk tells him they don't accept gold. Deadpool asks, "What do you mean you don't take gold? It's freaking gold! Just take the gold before these delicious burritos start congealing, because when that happens, things are gonna get ugly." The clerk tells him, again, "We only accept American dollars." And Deadpool tells him, okay, how about a compromise? Take a guess at what I do have." The clerk stares for a moment and then he asks, "You have a mask and guns? Are you robbing me?" Before Deadpool can answer, a group of masked men holding guns tell the clerk, "Yup." Deadpool looks back asking, "Who the hell are you guys?" And just as the clerk hits the security button to close the door, Deadpool shouts, "Wait, the burritos!" The shutter slams down on the burrito, sending a glob of filling into one of the masked men's face. As he yells, "Ew! It's all congealed!" Deadpool quickly grabs one of the guns, shooting the man in the head, and as he falls back, the masked man says, "That was a bad idea." As all of the men start firing, Deadpool starts to notice a problem. These men can regenerate like him. How is he supposed to deal with them now? But then it hits him. Put a grenade in their mouth. One of the men points his gun at Deadpool, so Deadpool spins around, taking the gun from him, punching him in the mouth, leaving a grenade behind. The grenade explodes, and as the smoke begins to clear, the masked men look around, asking, "Where did he go?" And another shouts, "Forget him! Focus on the real target." Meanwhile, over in the storage area, Deadpool finds a ladder leading down underground, and as he climbs down, he finds the store clerk. And guns. Lots and lots of guns. Deadpool shouts, "Holy crap! You're an Arab living in America and you're a terrorist? That is so disappointingly stereotypical and racist." The clerk asks him, "What the hell are you talking about? I'm not a terrorist, I'm a businessman." And Deadpool says, "Oh yeah? prove it. And the clerk tells him, okay, let me go get my business license. It's just in the back. He turns and heads into the vault, and then he slams it shut. Deadpool stares, asking, really? Again? And the masked man from before tells him, yep. A few moments and a few bullet holes later, Deadpool says, okay, stop! I keep regenerating, you keep regenerating, this is pointless. The clerk opens up a sliding door asking if he needs grenades. He's got grenades, he can sell him one if he's got the cash. Oh, wait. Deadpool looks back at the masked man, telling him, fine, just who are you? Why do you have regeneration powers? Why are you after him? One of the men says, well, we really can't tell you anything, but what we can say is that we're not after you, we're after the store owner. We came here to take his weapons cache. And Deadpool says, wait, are you the terrorist? One of the masked men tells him, no, we're Patriots. The store owner is a terrorist. And the clerk shouts, I am not a terrorist! I got my weapons from the CIA. They wanted me to sell them in my country, but I brought them here instead. If anything, you're the terrorist. Deadpool throws his arms up, telling everyone, you know, this is a complex political discussion that I would rather not have. And just then another voice tells him, well, I'll make it easy for you. You're all terrorists. Everyone looks back to see Captain America, Black Widow, and Moon Knight just staring at them. And Deadpool yells, wait, he's Cap! Everyone thought you were dead! Cap punches Deadpool, telling him, well, no such luck, punk. Cap, Black Widow, and Moon Knight then start to take out all of the masked men, and as the last one falls, Moon Knight asks, so how are we gonna deal with the store owner? Cap tells him, we'll deal with him. Hard. A few seconds later, the vault doors blow open and the clerk steps out in a battle suit, telling them, stupid Americans! Just so you know, I am a terrorist. And a second after that, the clerk is shot in the head from behind, and Deadpool says, yeah, I knew it the whole time. Cap tells him, you know, I really like the way you move. How'd you like to come work with us? Inside Deadpool's mind, he thinks to himself, I can't even think about what to say. And after stuttering for a few moments, he says, you're awesome. A few days go by with Cap, Black Widow, and Moon Knight beginning to watch an anti-government militia stronghold known for stockpiling small arms and explosives. Word has it that there's supposed to be a package delivered that may be containing bomb components. However, there's no word as to what kind of bomb they're making. Cap pulls down the scanner and begins to look around, and then he asks, where's Deadpool? A few seconds later, the entire stronghold explodes, and as Deadpool walks back to everyone, he yells, hey, check it out, they had a bomb in there, so I used the bomb on their asses. Cap shouts that was not the mission. And Moon Knight adds, we're supposed to be confiscating the bomb, not blowing it up. Deadpool tells him, yeah, if you need bombs, I know a guy. Wait, why would you need a bomb? And Cap says, oh, for, blowing up terrorists. And Deadpool says, like I just did? And Cap says, yeah, just give me a moment. And he walks away to make a call. Just as the person picks up, Cap says, this guy is driving me nuts. And the voice tells him to relax. Remember what they talked about in their sessions. You are Steve Rogers, the super soldier. You can do this. As Cap hangs up, he takes a deep breath. I can do this. He turns back to Deadpool and tells him, I don't like you. And he punches him in the side of the head. Later, when Deadpool wakes up at a super secret underground headquarters, he rubs his head stating, man, you should call Cap. Steve hits like a girl Rogers. Meanwhile, over in another room, Cap is telling Dr. Bong that he doesn't get it. Why do they need Deadpool anyway? Bong says it's because Deadpool is the genuine article. And Cap says, oh, so because we're genetic clones, you mean? And Bong tells him, yes, you're imperfect clones. Cap says under his breath, that really hurts. And Bong tells him, I'm sorry for my hurtful comment and my failings as the genetic engineer, but unfortunately, the truth can be hurtful. The next day, Clone Cap, Clone Widow, and Clone Knight stake out another stronghold. But after a few moments inside, Deadpool sees Clone Cap and yells, hey, wait, about yesterday. Before Deadpool could get another word out, Clone Cap turns around, punching him to the ground, and as Deadpool gets up, he thinks, man, someone learned how to throw a punch. Just then the alarms go off and Bong shouts, we're under attack! Clone Knight asks, is that? And Bong tells him, yes, the real Steve Rogers. Bong radios to Clone Cap, telling him that he needs to report in, and as Clone Cap steps back outside, he's shot in the chest and then the head. The real Black Widow tells him, don't worry, he'll regenerate, eventually. Back inside of the secret base, everyone watches and Clone Widow says that they need to get out of here. And Bong tells her no. What they need to do is simple, fight our way out. Clone Knight looks back at the video to see the real Cap beating up Deadpool, saying, fudge that. Over at the fight, Deadpool pulls out one of his katanas, slashing into Cap's chest, shouting, so it's like that, huh? I really used to look up to you. And then when you asked me to join you, I almost couldn't believe it. Cap asks him, what are you talking about? I never. But before he could finish, Deadpool kicks him in the throat. Deadpool then picks up Cap, telling him, I should have known. You didn't want to be my pal, you're just like the others. Cap headbutts Deadpool, and Deadpool finishes telling him, you're just out to use me. Deadpool then headbutts Cap back, telling him, you know, I would have let you too. Why turn on me? Was it because I showed you up? Because I make it look so much better than you could? Cap gets up from the beating and he spits out blood, telling him, yeah, that's exactly it. The two continue beating each other senseless, and just before Deadpool can end the fight, he feels several small blades shoot into his back. The real Moon Knight asks, so can I get in on this too? And Cap tells him, no more fighting, we have to talk. Back over at the control room, Bong watches the feed and says, damn, well, that's it, time to face the facts, this venture's over. Clone Widow asks, what, we giving up? And Bong says, of course not, do I look like Dr. Surrender? Bong then rings the bell in his hand, destroying the clones and bringing down the entire complex. A short while later, Cap begins to wake up and he finds himself tied up along with Black Widow and Moon Knight, with Deadpool yelling, hey, my buddy! Should I say buddies? In front of Deadpool is both the real and fake Cap. And Deadpool asks, so which is which, and why are there two of you? One of the Caps says that the other's an imposter. Dr. Bong created him. And Deadpool asks, why would my old shrink be involved in this? And Cap goes up stating it's because Bong needed money to fund his genetic experiments. He's using the clones to rob weapon caches and then sell them on the black market. And Deadpool says, okay, the guys at the mini-mart. And Cap says also clones. Deadpool then asks, of what? And Cap says he's not sure, they were wearing ski masks. But all of Bong's clones have regeneration powers. Deadpool looks at the other Cap and asks him, what do you think? And that Cap tells him, he's telling the truth, except the part about him being me. After a few moments of looking back and forth, Deadpool says, this is interesting. There's just one thing that I did notice though. One Cap has a big old bullet hole in his costume with seemingly no injury, and the other one is cut and is still bleeding. Deadpool points his gun at the Cap with the bullet hole, asking, where's Dr. Bong, Cloney McCloneface? And the other Cap says that Bong used his powers to teleport to his secondary base, which is about 2 hours from here. And Deadpool then points his gun at Cap with the cut, asking, how do you know that? And that Cap tells him, because I'm Steve Rogers. Deadpool flings his arm back, shooting the head off of Clone Cap, yelling, hell yeah, you are! Once Deadpool unties the real Avengers, they begin to crawl out of the destroyed facility, and Deadpool stops for a second and then asks, is that a ride? Cap tells him that they secured available transport. It just happened to be a hatchback sedan. While everyone piles into the car, with not even 5 minutes going by, Deadpool shouts, oh, stop the car! Moon Knight asks, you want to go there? And Cap sighs, telling him, just let him do it. Meanwhile, over at a warehouse, Bong shouts to his clones, quickly, my lackeys, we have these crates of weapons loaded. One of the clones then asks, what's the big hurry? And Bong tells him it's because I'm expecting guests. Now everyone switch to your Deadpool costumes. A short while later, outside at the warehouse, Deadpool and the others get out of the car and Deadpool asks, are you sure about this place? And Cap tells him, yup. And Moon Knight asks, what's the plan? You do have a plan, right? Deadpool yells, of course I do. While you go over there, I'm gonna go over there to do something like kill Bong. Cap tells him no, there will be no killing in this operation. And Deadpool tells him, fine, okay, new plan. I should warn you though, it's about to get a little weird. Shortly after that, everyone is surrounded by clone pools. Everyone begins fighting, and one of the clone pools escapes the fray, shouting, Dr. Bong, they're here, they're kicking our asses! Bong climbs into his truck, and one of the clone pools asks, what are you doing, running away? And Dr. Bong tells him, of course not. I'm driving away while you and the other clones keep the heroes busy. The other clone pool asks, why don't you just go do the Bong thing? And Bong asks, and risk detonating a tractor trailer full of explosives worth several $1 million? I think not. The first clone pool says, well, can we go with you? You're gonna need someone to help unload all this stuff. Bong thinks on it for a second and tells them, good point. However, there's only one seat. The beat up clone pool cuts the head off the first one, and Bong says, I like your resolve, get in. Back in the fight, Widow punches another clone asking if this is Deadpool's plan. It's totally chaos! And Cap tells her, no, it's Bong's plan. One of the clones shouts, it's me! I'm the real Deadpool! And Moon Knight promptly snaps his neck. Cap and Widow stare, and Moon Knight asks, what? You could have been lying for all we know. Widow then grabs her rifle and looks down the street and says that she has spotted Bong. She takes aim at the tire, firing, and as the tire blows out, Bong's truck swerves into the barrier and off the ledge. The truck continues to drive until it falls off the overpass, and as it explodes, Widow says, ah, crud! Soon Cap and the others hurry down to the wreck, and Cap then asks if there's any sign of Bong. Widow tells him that she's sorry, she didn't anticipate that, and suddenly Bong's voice shouts, that I would live? Do you think that Dr. Bong would be so easily defeated? And Clone Pool tells him, actually, you would have if I hadn't gotten you out of the truck in time. And then he turns to Cap asking, so, does this make me a hero now? And Cap tells him, yes, Deadpool. Bong looks back at Deadpool, realizing that the clone pool was just Deadpool acting, and says, that was very unwise to let me live. And Deadpool asks, don't you get it? I'm a hero now. Bong says, oh, well, congratulations. Hope that works out for the few seconds you're still alive. Bong begins to hold out his arm, but before he can hit it, Bong shouts in pain. Deadpool then pulls his katana away, stating, actually, without that hand, Dr. Bong won't bong ever again. Deadpool then turns back to everyone and shouts, can I get up? and as he throws his arms up, fireworks started to explode in the sky. Moon Knight says, "Wait, is that why you needed those fireworks?" Earlier, just before the battle at a local fireworks shop, Deadpool walks out holding bags filled with rockets, stating, "Seriously, trust me guys, these are integral to the genius of my geniusy plan. Genius!" It was late night in Deadpool's apartment when shadowy figures seemed to loom over his bed. The shadows tell Deadpool that it's time to wake up, and he asks if he's having a nightmare? One of the men says no, this is actually happening, and Deadpool then asks, "Am I really being surrounded by Draculas?" The man stops and tells him no, they're not all named Dracula, the proper term is, but before the man can finish, Deadpool starts unloading his gun shooting at the vampires. He gets up telling them, "Save it for someone who actually cares, Dracula." After getting dressed and strapping a gun to his head for some reason, Deadpool makes a hasty retreat outside, but he's stopped again by the first vampire. The man tells him, "Listen," and Deadpool says, "Sure, I'm all ears," and then he proceeds to shoot everyone again. The first vampire shouts, "Damn it, stop shooting, you idiot! We came to hire you, not kill you!" The vampire hands Deadpool a card with the name Colvin on it, and he tells him, "Look, just meet me at this address tomorrow at dusk. All will be explained." Deadpool looks at it and tells him, yeah, right, Dracula. I don't work for Draculas. I'm one of the good guys tonight." The vampires start to leave, and Colvin tells him, "So are we, just think about it." So after thinking about it for the night, Deadpool shows up at the address that Colvin gave him on the following night, because Deadpool never really thinks. Colvin tells him that they're facing a major problem for both humans and vampires. Dracula's son Zaris has staged a coup that threatens to undo everything that they've accomplished over the centuries in a matter of days. A rival sect known as Claw Sect has been attacking them. For him to better understand, they're being attacked by other Draculas. Deadpool tells him, "Okay, that makes sense. Why me?" Colvin explains that Zaris has given the Claw Sect a special amulet, one that can block a portion of the ultraviolet spectrum, so they need him for protection during the day. Whatever his price is, they will pay. Deadpool says that he needs to think about it, and Colvin's aide, Snejvana, whispers that Deadpool's just going to shoot them again. And Deadpool yells, "No, I'm not! But I'm not going to help you either, for two very specific reasons. One, they are Dracula, and Dracula too, so have fun dying again." Colvin tells Deadpool to wait. There's so much that they do that is unknown to the world. For hundreds of years, they've collected their resources to open up the Mercy General Hospital, which is currently above them. It's one of the last privately owned hospitals in the nation, and in over 100 years, they've never turned away a patient for any reason. They have the lowest mortality rates of any hospital on the planet, and 30% of their annual gross profit is donated to various humanitarian aid foundations. The remaining amount is used to pay staff. The only thing that they take is the blood, and a small administrative fee. Zaris and his allies want to go to war with the human race, so if he's really one of the good guys, now's the time to prove it. Deadpool thinks about it for a second and then tells him, "Sure, I'll do it. But there's one thing I'd like to know. If these vampires can walk around during the day, how am I supposed to spot them?" Colvin tells him, believe him, spotting them won't be a problem. And that night, Dr. Matsuki notices a man hunched over in a corner asking if everything's all right. The man tells her no, and he leans out of the shadows, revealing himself to be covered in bandages from head to toe, stating that he will help himself though. Matsuki pulls out a gun, telling him that 2 years of self-defense training and 3 weeks of firearms training says otherwise. The man says that the weapon will not save her. And then Deadpool says, "Yeah, but mine will." And the man is suddenly stabbed with a wooden stake. The wooden kind, not the meat kind. Deadpool pushes the stake in further and he jumps around the man, cutting off his head. As he looks back, he sees Matsuki and he says, "Wow, you're looking pretty hot over there. After I'm done killing these Draculas, would you be interested in getting tacos?" Matsuki says, "Wait, that's Dracula? There's more?" And Deadpool yells, "Oh, hell yeah, there are." Ceres, the leader of the Claw Sect raid group, radios in asking if everything's all right in there, till they find the entrance to the resting chambers. Deadpool grabs the dead vampire's radio, telling them, yeah, it's in the, chapel." Ceres tells his men that doesn't seem right. Go in and see what's going on. Back inside, Deadpool starts to take Matsuki to the chapel and she tells him to wait. They need to tell security about this. Deadpool tells her, yeah, that's not happening. And then Matsuki shoots Deadpool in the leg to let her go. He begins to shout, "Ow!" And he turns back and shoots her in the leg. She falls to the ground and he tells her, "Look, I get your message. Just so you know, I have the same feelings too." Deadpool starts to pick her up and she screams to, "Put me down, you psycho piece of..." And Deadpool shushes her, telling her, "It's okay. There's no need for words." After a few moments, she looks around asking if they're in a chapel. And Deadpool asks, "Isn't it romantic?" One of the vampires opens the doors, telling him, "Very." Deadpool whispers to Matsuki Don't worry, baby. I got this one. Then he drops her on the ground. The vampire says, you know, bringing me here was a mistake. I'm protected from the sun with this amulet. The vampire holds up the amulet and Deadpool shoots it to pieces, and so that vampire starts to burn. Deadpool tells him, right, about that. He then picks up Madzuki, stating, all right, now we need to get to your security room. That's probably going to be the next place that the Draculas hit. Meanwhile, over in the security room, 2 guards look at the cameras asking, why is this one down? The other guard radios over to Oscar the janitor to check it out, and Oscar tells them that he found a body with no head. Wait. Oh, the head's over there. What should I do? The guard tells him that he should come back, and Ceres says that that would be an excellent idea. The more the merrier. A few moments later, Deadpool heads over to the security room, seeing 2 guards sitting inside. He tells Madzuki to wait here. This could be a trap. So Madzuki runs into the security room screaming, help me! We're under attack by vampires! As she gets inside, she notices the guards aren't moving, and Ceres tells her, yeah, you're definitely under attack by vampires. A few moments go by, and then Deadpool walks in, and Ceres says, so, the girl you love is moments away from being slaughtered. What are you going to do about it? Deadpool scratches his chin and tells them, well, I lost the element of surprise. And Ceres says, drop all your weapons. So Deadpool begins to throw his guns on the ground, which happens to be a lot, like a lot of guns. And Ceres tells him, that really is an unnecessary amount of guns, but it doesn't matter. Where are the cowards? Deadpool asks, why would he tell him? You're gonna kill the both of us either way, so I might as well drag this out as long as I can. Ceres says, actually, I just gave them something. By saying they, that means that she knows where they are. So where is Director Colvin? Before Madzuki can say anything, Deadpool yells, damn you, Dracula, and your superior mind. Ceres pauses and tells them, I'm not Dracula. And Deadpool tells him, yeah, right, and I'm not dead. But before he could finish, one of Ceres' men stabs Deadpool, and Ceres yells, yeah, now you are. A short while later in the halls, Madzuki says, oh wait, she forgot that they need to be down in the other halls. Ceres then grabs her by the throat, yelling, stop running us in circles. You don't know where they are, do you? And Madzuki struggles for air, stating, yes. But right next to them is Oscar the janitor, and he says, hola. Everyone looks at Oscar, and Oscar tells Madzuki, don't worry, senorita, I'll clean this up for you. Madzuki tells him, wait, you don't know who these men are? And Oscar tells her, si. Oscar then snaps his mop, telling her that he knows exactly who they are. But before anything can happen, the fire alarm goes off, and while everyone is flooding out of the hospital, Deadpool appears, takes the broken mop from Oscar, and then he runs up, picking Madzuki. As the water starts to pour down on everyone, it burns away at Ceres and his men, and Ceres asks, is this holy water? And Deadpool tells him, yes it is. I had blessed by a priest 12 hours ago. And right now, Deadpool's running with Madzuki down the hallways with her telling him, wait, we may have lost them. So he asks, really? Damn. And then he peers around the corner yelling, hey, we're over here. As the other vampires start to run after them, Madzuki yells, why would you do that? And Deadpool tells her, because I'm a man of mystery, get used to it. A short while later, Ceres tracks Deadpool down to the MRI room. But before they can go in, Ceres says that they need to be careful. This may be a trap. Deadpool opens up the door, telling them, oh, it is totally a trap. And he stabs one of the men with the broken mop. The man then quickly shuts the door, and Ceres kicks it down, shouting, Deadpool! And Deadpool tells him, whoa. Inside voices, I can hear you just fine. He points over to the MRI machine asking, do you know what this is? It's an MRI. It's basically a big electrical magnet, and I may have just turned it on. Suddenly, Ceres and his men begin to feel their weapons and amulets pulling off of them. And Deadpool says, goodbye, little metal amulet thingies. Hello, pointy wooden stick. He throws the other part of the mop at Ceres, and it seemingly goes through him and into the man behind him. Deadpool yells, hey, not fair. Says, when could you do that? Ceres then grabs Deadpool, telling him, not all of us can, only a special few. He pins Deadpool down, and Madzuki goes to pull something from a hole in the wall, asking, is it time? And Deadpool tells her, yeah, now would be nice. Ceres looks at the hole, asking, what's that? And suddenly he's hit with a beam of light and bursts into flames. Over in the other room, Madzuki yells, you did it! But how did you know that this would work? And Deadpool asks, turn an X-ray machine into a vampire-killing megaweapon? Google, baby! Have you never heard of Google? Google it! Madzuki steps out of the wall, and Deadpool asks, so, we're pretty much done here, right? Should we go grab a drink? And Madzuki stares at him, telling him no. She has a gunshot wound, and the last thing she should be doing is drinking alcohol. Deadpool nervously says, how about ice cream? And Madzuki tells him, yeah, they can do ice cream. Deadpool yells, cool! Just sit here a moment while I handle some business, and then we can get ice cream. He hurries down to the lower levels and tosses Colvin and the others the amulets, telling them that this will protect them from the sunlight now. Before Colvin has a chance to respond, Deadpool asks, we good here? Yeah? Awesome. See you next time. I gotta go get some ice cream. As he runs back, he yells, you know, I never got your name. And as he looks at the seat where he left Madzuki, he sees her gone. And he sighs, stating that it looks like she went and got ice cream without him. As the sun rises over the Lucky Sevens motel, Deadpool sits in his bed, stuffing his face watching the late-breaking news. A quiet Virginia neighborhood has been shaken as an explosion erupted inside of the home of the Amalgamated Armament CEO Reginald Harris. Deadpool thinks to himself, where have I heard that name before? The report goes on to state that Reginald, his wife, and his daughter are all suspected of being inside of the home when the explosion went off. Deadpool then asks, did I buy my guns from Reginald? No, wait, it was a job! Though I can't really remember what it was about. The news anchor continues stating that they have one prime suspect in the case, the masked mercenary, known as Deadpool, was seen on Reginald's home security camera earlier this morning. At 3:12 in the morning, Deadpool was seen jumping over the security fence with what they believe was explosives, the ones that were used to destroy Reginald's home. Deadpool stops eating and yells, I did what? Just then, the motel door is kicked in and a voice says, I'll tell you one thing, hombre. That is that you just snuffed me out of one hell of a payday. I was the one who was supposed to punch Harris's ticket. So it would seem that you owe Macho Gomez a whole lot of money. Deadpool stares and asks, who the hell is Macho Gomez? As the Green Galactic mercenary stands in the doorway, Gomez tells him, take a wild guess. Deadpool quickly wipes the food off his mask, telling him, I get a strong impression that you might be new in town, so I'm gonna let you in on a few very important issues here. Gomez tells him, you can stop right there. I've heard a lot about you, and it isn't very impressive. You might be hot stuff on this turd ball of a planet, but where I come from, you ain't crap. So you best come out with all the loot your little hand can get a hold of and fork it over, or I'm gonna take all of my frustrations out on you. Deadpool waits for a moment and then says, sure thing, Macho Gomez, be back in a sec. He whispers as he goes back into his closet, and as he opens up the door, Gomez points a gun at him, telling him, you better not be trying anything stupid. Deadpool tells him, no stupidity at all, my man, just a big old bag of shiny gold coins and a trusty old claymore under all that. A few seconds later, the motel room explodes, throwing Gomez out, and Deadpool comes out yelling, FYI, where I come from, I am crap! As Deadpool looks over the balcony, he sees Gomez laying on top of his space car, and Deadpool tells him, you know, that's a pretty sweet ride, and he turns away. I could finish off Gomez and take his ride, but I have more important hero things to do, like find out who's trying to frame me. Later that night, in a forest cabin, Reginald puts his daughter to sleep, and his wife asks, why are they hiding out? Reginald sighs and sits at a table telling her, okay, I've been working with the government on a new project. It involved a new secret technology, weapons technology, alien weapons technology, but I got sabotaged. Reginald's wife slams her hand down asking, you did what? And Reginald goes on stating, I was paid to do it. The government process would have taken so long to develop with their oversight committees, but being privately funded, we have made so much more. Reginald's wife then asks, what did you do, steal it? And Deadpool's voice tells her, nope, I did, because Reginald paid me too. Reginald looks at Deadpool and asks, how did you know? And Deadpool tells him, it's because the videotape you showed on the news. A few years back when I first stole that thing, that's the video that they showed. So first you sold out the government, and when they came snooping around, you went and pointed the finger at Deadpool. Isn't that right? Reginald says, I had to disappear. I already had all the old footage. It just made sense. I'm sorry. Deadpool takes out his gun, pointing it at Reginald, telling him, yeah, well, I'm not so forgiving at the moment. Before Deadpool could pull the trigger, though, Reginald's daughter runs in shouting, don't shoot my daddy! Deadpool looks at his gun, and he then turns to leave. Reginald tells him, look, I'll pay you whatever you want. And Deadpool tells him, I'm not interested in money. Just stay dead. Reginald tells him, no, there's someone else. Since I've been working on the alien tech, there's someone else after me. His name is Macho Gomez. Deadpool turns back. Okay, normally I'm the dumb one here, but how would stopping Macho Gomez solve your problems? They would just send someone else. Reginald tells him, no, they won't. Macho Gomez is the baddest, most feared mercenary in the galaxy. If you take him out, no one is ever going to think about coming after me again. Deadpool says, wait, the guy with the hat? Everyone thinks he's the best? And Reginald tells him, oh yeah, hell yeah he is. Deadpool then says, wait, well, I hate to break it to you, but that guy's a freaking clown. A voice from behind Deadpool tells him, is that right? Then why ain't you laughing? Gomez opens fire on Deadpool and Reginald, with Deadpool quickly running over, shielding Reginald and his family because that's the heroic thing to do. Deadpool tells him, fine, I'll do it, but you can keep the money. This one's on the house. He starts shooting back and he tells Reginald to hurry and take the wife and kid to the bunker. Reginald then asks, you know about the bunker? And Deadpool says, yeah, case the place while you were sleeping. I know about the other thing too. Let's just hope Gomez doesn't. Deadpool runs outside after Gomez asks, where are you at? And just as he asks, a spotlight shines on him. Deadpool looks over to see Gomez standing on his space car pointing a giant Gatling gun straight at him. As the barrel begins to spin and heat up, Deadpool tells, "Oh, I'm so going to run now." Once the barrel begins to pick up speed, Gomez begins mowing down the trees trying to hit Deadpool, leaving all but one tree left. He laughs as he sees Deadpool's arm telling him, "You're out of your league on this. You ain't nothing but a human." Gomez takes a closer look and he sees Deadpool's arm, but he doesn't see Deadpool. Deadpool jumps up from behind him, telling him, "I stopped being human a long time ago," and he tackles him into a tree. He jumps back, grabbing Gomez's gun, and when he aims back, he notices 3 glowing balls by the tree. Deadpool asks, "Is that what I think they are?" And a second later, they explode. Inside of Reginald's bunker, he watches as Gomez runs away from the explosion, and Reginald's wife asks, "Should they?" And Reginald tells her yes. This space pod will take them to the Amalgamated Armament Surveillance Satellite, where they can hide. A few seconds later, Gomez walks into the bunker, telling them, "Knock, knock." But as he gets into the opening, he sees the escape pod and hears the computer counting down from 10. He laughs, telling them, "That's pretty clever. But as I look into it, I don't see anyone inside." Deadpool tells him, "Thanks." And he kicks Gomez inside, slamming the door shut. As the escape pod takes off, Deadpool sees Gomez's gun, and he hurries outside, firing the gun. Gomez kicks open the escape pod, and as he does, he sees the explosive from the gun. The explosive goes off, and Gomez is blown away. Deadpool says that he just beat Gomez's butt with one arm literally tied to his back. After reattaching his arm, Deadpool decided that now that everyone has seen his skills on Earth, it's time for the people on other planets to know just how much of a bamf he is. Screw trying to be a hero. It's time to go back to being a merc. And all these suckers are on notice. Before we get back to the adventure of Deadpool, we have to look back to 6 years to an event involved with the planet of Angula. There, the alien Wongus tells his beloved Baluza that when he returns from war, he wishes to start a family with her, so that they can live happily ever after. With love in her heart, Bazula then accepts Wongus's proposal, and then turns to the night sky so that the two of them can spend what little time they have left together. The two look up into the starry sky, and Bazula then asks why are there 2 moons out tonight, and Wongus tells her that it's not a moon, that's... But before he could finish, the two lovers are vaporized as a sentient planet crashes into Angula, laughing hysterically. Out in space aboard the command ship of the Angulan Defense Fleet, Commander Kak watches his homeworld be reduced to nothing more than space dust. Kak sits back in his chair telling everyone that it's been an honor serving with them. And that's when there's a loud snort. Kak looks out the window to see where his planet once was, and all of the debris has just disappeared. Kak tells his men that there is only one thing that could have done this. He's gonna find the last of the remaining Angulians to stop this threat. Fast forward 6 years to the present, and everyone's favorite mercenary Deadpool finds himself stranded in the middle of nowhere. Lucky for him, Gomez's space car automatically sent out a distress signal when he ran out of gas. Moments after the signal goes out, a blinding light shines onto the car and a voice comes over the radio stating, "Got your distress call, Macho. We'll be back at the station in a second." A few moments later, at the Funzel Towing and Recovering Agency, the tow driver, Obe, tells Futzel that it looks like Macho ran out of gas again. And Futzel then says, what is he, wasted? And Deadpool tells him, I'd say, because I'm the one who wasted him. Name's Deadpool, perhaps you've heard of me. Futzel then looks at Deadpool and says, did you really kill Gomez? Because if you did, there will be consequences for doing that. Deadpool tells him, I sure did. Whatever, bring on whoever. More importantly, you've heard of me, right? Like, really, have you guys heard of me? Just then, a female's voice calls out, stating, you killed my man! And suddenly, Deadpool is headbutted across the room by a large alien woman. Futzel tells Deadpool, meet my sister Orxa, Gomez's wife. Orxa shouts that, I am going to chop down on that stupid head of yours! And Deadpool pulls up his mask, responding the only way that he knows how, by kissing Orxa. Deadpool pulls down his mask, laughing, stating, ha ha, stops him every time. And then she grabs Deadpool, lovingly shouting, I accept! And Futzel says, oh, damn it, not again. Orxa pulls Deadpool down, and Futzel says, all right then, welcome to the family business, brother. And Deadpool says, wait, did I just marry her? Sweet, come here. Soon after a very brief honeymoon, Deadpool walks into Futzel's office wearing a robe, stating, okay, what's this family business stuff? Futzel says that they're a towing and recovery business, just like the sign says. They repo and salvage anything of value. Gomez was brought in to help Oob with the repos, but after he hooked up with his sister, he also became his partner. Gomez wanted to branch out into skip traces, bond revocations, and other stuff. He was the best they had. Deadpool says, right, until Gomez met me. And Funzel asks, so you gonna carry on where Gomez left off? And Deadpool shouts, that's right! We're going intergalactic, baby! And Funzel tells him that they already have an intergalactic squad. The sign says that too. After a few moments of awkward silence, Ob then comes in stating that he's got a job to head out to. And Deadpool jumps up stating, I want to go too. Funzel tells him, all right, fine. You can start learning how we do things around here, but I need you to do this quickly and quietly. You can do that, right? And Deadpool smiles. Later over at the mining planet of U-235, bullets fly over Deadpool and Ob's head. And Deadpool pushes Ob down, stating, do you know what low profile means? Who are these guys? Ob says that they're the Exto clan. They're the toughest group of mercenaries in the galaxy. And Deadpool then asks, why are they shooting at us? Did you guys miss a payment or something? And Ob tells him, no. I think they're hired to protect the mine. It is a uranium mine. And Deadpool says, okay, I got a plan. Once the shooting dies down, the mercenaries look around asking, did we get them? And then from behind, the mining drill turns on, and out of the top of it, Deadpool yells, greetings, space people! I am Deadpool! And one of the mercenaries asks who? And after shooting the other alien, Deadpool tells him, I'm the guy you're going to tell everyone about. Back at Funzel's, Funzel tells Ob that they have to do something. Deadpool's going to put them out of business. What can they do? He's family. Ob tells him, well, Gomez was too. Until he died. Know what I'm saying? Orkska deserves someone who knows what a wonderful woman she is. Let me make a few calls, and I might be able to solve both of our problems. A short while later, Ob knocks on Orkska's door, and she opens it standing in her tiny bikini, and Ob asks, is Deadpool around? Deadpool, who for whatever the reason is also in a bikini, shouts, well, yo! Ob walks in and tells him that he's got a job for him, a merc job, and Deadpool yells, sweet! As Deadpool follows Ob back out, Ob introduces him to Commander Kak. And Deadpool asks, what's the gig about? Kak says that they are the last surviving members of the Ongolian civilization. They are willing to pay him an extremely large sum for his aid on the destruction of the intergalactic entity known as id, the Selfish Moon. Ob whispers that this may be too dangerous for him, and Deadpool asks, you want me to kill a planet? Kak tells him, well, it is a moon, and Deadpool says, come on, say it! It's a planet. And Kak sighs, telling him, yes, we need your help killing a planet. And Deadpool hugs him, stating, aw, come here! The next day, Kak rallies his fellow Ongolians to inform them that today is the day that they will get revenge for the murder of their beloved planet. Today, they will be joined by a fierce warrior from a faraway galaxy who will lay down his life to preserve the memory of Ongula. But before Kak can introduce Deadpool, one of Kak's officers whispers something into his ear and he says, you've gotta be freaking kidding me! Back at Funzel's, Deadpool tells Funzel that they could get a tow truck to lift Orkska off them. That would be great. I would have called Oop myself, but I can't reach the phone. Once Deadpool is freed from his love-making, he boards Kak's command vessel and says, you know, I didn't expect my ship to be so, crappy. Kak tells him that over the years they had to sell off components of their ship in order to fund their quest and pay him. But never mind that, it is time for them to go over the plan of operation. Id has been spotted at the Dekraken coordinate. They believe that he is targeting the planet of Aurora because it is a populated state. Deadpool says, so this planet eats other planets? Well, before I can fully visualize the whole thing, I'm gonna need Id's origin story. Kak sighs, fine. In the Black Galaxy a very long time ago, there was nothing. But through the collection of dusts and gases, Ego, the living planet, was born, and in his shadow, Id. Ego fought against the Regalian explorers who showed up in hopes of keeping Id and his existence secret. But Id, he wanted the party. After having some choice words with Ego, Id left and traveled the galaxy hooking up with people like him, but he quickly realized that there was no others like him. He was alone. Dementia eventually set in, and Id decided to continue his quest in order to find people to party with. His journey would take him to Kegger 24/7, the planet that is always partying. But since he couldn't actually party with them because, well, he's a moon, Id used his ability to produce seismic waves of catastrophic forces and destroyed the planet. He breathed in the destruction of the planet, and all of the senseless deaths and sudden terror ignited something in him, giving him a sense of a deranged euphoria. Like most who experience it, Id wants more. And Deadpool tells him, let me get this straight. Id goes around destroying planets, he snorts up all the space dust that it creates, and then he gets high. That's the most messed up thing that I have ever heard. And Kak continues on explaining, while Id prepares to destroy Aurelia, we're going to need to begin our attack. They will launch Deadpool in a tube rocket onto Id, and from there a powerful drill will burrow deep into Id, carrying a nuclear explosive which will be detonated remotely. Deadpool thinks about it and says that that's a pretty original plan. No one has ever thought of it or did it in a movie. Count me in. But I do have one question. What about the people of Aurelia? Kak tells them that in order for the mission to be successful, they will need a sufficient distraction. The Aurelians will provide that. One planet will die, so that many others may live. Deadpool pulls his gun out, pointing it to Kak's head, stating, yeah, about that? That plan's not gonna work. Who else knows how to drive this ship? No one answers, and Deadpool shoots Kak in the arm and says, okay, how about now? And one of the officers tells Deadpool that he can do it. Deadpool tells him, good, this plan isn't going to happen, so you're gonna need a new plan. Deadpool has the officer fly him down to Aurelia, and he tells his people that their planet is about to be blown up by some massive, insane moon with an addiction problem. The good news is that I'm here to rescue you, and I'm gonna take you someplace cool. Cooler than this place anyway. The Aurelians begin to cheer, and Deadpool says, that really wasn't the response I was expecting. One of the Aurelians tell him, this place sucks. Our grandparents wanted us to be farmers. Farming is hard work. A short while later on an ice planet, the Aurelians stare at Deadpool and the officer. And Deadpool tells him, well, Cac did say this place was cool. The officer tries to tell everyone, look, you have plenty of food and shelter here, but after seeing the Aurelians' displeasure, he says, okay, you can leave. Except Deadpool stole the ship and flew back into space. While making his way towards Id, Deadpool calls to Orxa and tells her that he's going to need her to do him a favor. Back at Funzel's, Oob tells Orxa how everything's going, and she tells him, well, she hasn't heard from Deadpool yet, so... Oob says, well, if he doesn't come back, he'll still be there for her. Orxa hugs him, telling him that's sweet, and steals his keys. A short while later, back at U-235, Deadpool lands the ship and tells the Exto mercenaries, hey, I'm back, you have 10 minutes to get your miners off this planet. Back at Funzel's, Oob walks into Funzel's office and says that he's not sure why, but he thinks Orxa took his keys. Funzel tells him, yeah, he just talked to Orxa, and she brought up a good point. What if Deadpool actually pulls this thing off? If he doesn't, then we'll just go back to the way things were. But if he does succeed, then he could bring us a lot of money. Everyone loves heroes, right? Oob looks at pictures of Orxa and Deadpool and says that he'll be right back. Orxa, after taking Oob's keys to his truck, sets out, and right behind him is Oob and Funzel's space car. Over with Deadpool, Id shouts, asking Deadpool, can you hear me? And Deadpool tells him, yeah, I can hear you. And Id yells, I will consume you. And Deadpool tells him, that ain't all you're gonna be consuming. Hopefully you like the taste of the Ungolian drill bomb with nuclear fission on the side. But as Deadpool gets set up, Oob calls out to him and says, let me get this straight. It blows up U-235, but as that happens, you're going to leave the nuke behind. Orxa comes and picks you up along with the nuke and the uranium-235, and it blows up into nothing. Deadpool says, well, yeah, maybe. Why are you here? Are you gonna shoot me or something? And Oob tells him, yeah. And Deadpool tells him, okay, I'm gonna need you to understand something very important. In the very next frame, Oob's gun is gone. And Deadpool points the gun back at him, telling him, I don't like guys who want to shoot me with anything, especially ray guns. Now, if you would leave, this drill's going really fast. Oob begins to cry, shouting, I can't! And Deadpool asks, what are you doing? Are you crying? And Oob cries, yes, damn it, real men can cry! And Deadpool yells, no, they don't! And Oob sniffles, telling him, yes, they do, when they're in love. Deadpool stops everything. Whoa, I can understand the attraction. With the two of us, it's not gonna happen. And Oob yells, I'm talking about Orxa. And Deadpool tells him, oh yeah, well, okay, go be with her. And Oob says that he can't. The two of you are married. And Deadpool says, oh right, I forgot, I'm married to her. Oob gets up shouting, how could you forget you're married to the most incredible woman in the galaxy? And the ground begins to rumble with Deadpool yelling, because I'm kind of in the middle of a stressful situation right now. As Deadpool looks back, the tremor has taken out Oob's car. And then Deadpool says, whoa, that's just great. That rocket tube could barely fit you, let alone my tubby butt. Oob sighs, telling him, just leave me here. I'd rather be dead than alive and alone. Just then, the ground begins to shake again, and Deadpool's rocket takes off. A few seconds later, U-235 begins to become destroyed, and Id shouts, who's laughing now, little man? I'll tell you who. Me! As the particles begin to float around, Id snorts all of the wreckage up, stating, oh, that's some good stuff. A few moments later, Orxa calls Deadpool's rocket, stating that she can see him, and Deadpool tells her, I'm here, just come and take me home now. But while Orxa brings Deadpool home, Funzel watches it gag and then explodes, stating, holy crap. Once Orxa lands the tow truck, she runs over to the rocket, opening it, stating, you did it, baby. Deadpool falls out, missing his legs and one of his arms, and right behind him, Oob pulls himself out, covered in Deadpool's blood. Orxa asks what the hell did he do to her husband, and Oob tells her, nothing. Maybe I cut off one of his arms, but he asked me to. Deadpool holds out his katana, telling Oob to hurry up, one more to go. Orxa shouts, asking, Oob, what the hell are you doing? And then hugs him, stating, you could have died. A few days later, Deadpool leans up in his bed and Cac tells him that he's looking a lot better. Deadpool asks what does he want, and Cac tells him to say thank you. And Deadpool tells him, well, you paid me. I don't need your thanks. Cac says, well, he did pay him for destroying Id, but he's thanking him for teaching him a lesson and saving him from himself. If he went along with the original plan, the decision would have haunted him for the rest of his life. He's been out for vengeance for so long, he forgot what he was even avenging. Deadpool tells him that that's the thing about avenging. It's a tricky business. You were smart to hire a stone-cold pro like me to handle it, which I did. It's done. Bye-bye. Cack asks what's his problem, and Deadpool says, you know how David Hasselhoff sold all those records in, like, Poland? Over in the States, no one took him seriously as an artist. That's kinda how I feel right now. Cack says that he has no idea what he's talking about, and Deadpool shouts, I'm gonna break it down to you. In space, no one can hear you win. I just saved 2 entire civilizations, and what do I get? A job as a poster boy for a repo business. Back on Earth, I'd be huge! I'd be a hero finally! Cack tells him, well, he thinks he's a hero. And Deadpool answers him, so? I don't care what you think! Cack stares at Deadpool and then leaves. The next day, Deadpool tells Orksa and Oob that they should really be together. And Orksa says, really? And Deadpool says, yeah. How do we get space divorced? Orksa tells him, well, first Oob will have to kill you, which he already did. And then after that, I would have to kiss Oob. Deadpool says, okay. Well, Oob says that they kind of already did that. And Deadpool yells, all right, cool in the gang. I'm gonna steal a car, the cool one. A short while later at Funzel's space car, Deadpool sings to himself as he puts Earth as the destination. And once autopilot is engaged, he yells to you, the viewer, the reader, see you all next month! As everyone's favorite merc drifts closer to Earth, he begins to think to himself that he's been a lot of things in the past few months. He's been a bad guy, he's worked his butt off as a good guy, and everything else in between, yet people still don't like him. Why not just be himself like he is on Twitter? Everyone will love the real him, right? Maybe asking a few people wouldn't hurt, just to be sure. Meanwhile, down on Earth in a shabby little barn, Deadpool's old friend Bob grabs his phone stating that this is it. All of this abuse from his harpy/ogre wife was worth it for this. Bob makes his call, stating, hello, Travel Channel. My name is Bob and I have something you need to see. What is it? Oh, only the world's largest popcorn kernel. And just as Bob says that, the sound of a jet can be heard and then a loud kaboom. A few seconds later, Deadpool is shot out of his now crashed space car and he heads straight into Bob's kernel, on fire. When Deadpool hits the kernel, it explodes into popcorn, and Deadpool steps out stating, you love me, right, Bob? Aw, dude, this popcorn is stale. Bob begins to hold back, crying, stating that his feelings about him are very conflicted at the moment. Why are you here? Deadpool takes out his knife and he begins to pick his teeth, telling Bob that he's already said what he's here for. So, do you love me or not, Bob? Bob tells him, not really, I'm mostly terrified of you. And Deadpool shouts, what about the others? Weasel, Blind Owl, Taskmaster, those guys? Deadpool presses his knife on Bob and Bob says, is the knife really necessary? And Deadpool tells him, it helps calm me down. And Bob says, well, it's having the opposite effect on me. And to answer your question, all those people hate you. Deadpool throws his knife into a picture of Bob shouting, why would you say such a hurtful thing? Bob tells him that they came looking for him not long ago to kill him. And they weren't alone, there was another guy with them. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Macho Gomez smiles, telling everyone that he's glad that they can make it. They do not know him, but we all have something in common. We've all been screwed over by the same man, Deadpool. What do you say about making that guy pay for once? Deadpool yells, asking, are they teaming up with Macho Gomez? How the hell did that even happen? Bob begins to explain that it all started when Gomez found Weasel locked in some building, and well, from there he can figure it all out. Deadpool screams, what a bunch of two-faced jerks! Well, at least I have one friend, right, Bob? Bob turns away, telling him that he's got to admit he isn't the very best of friends. Remember that time he shot him in the hand, or the time that he left him stranded on that island? Deadpool says, well, at least you didn't join when Gomez came around, right? Right? Bob quietly says, yeah. And Deadpool asks, so is that a no, I didn't join them, or no, but I'll text you if he shows up? Bob sighs and hands Deadpool his phone and he reads the message, he's here! And the response, on our way. Deadpool puts his hand on Bob's shoulder, telling him, it's okay, don't worry, I'll save you for last. As Deadpool turns around, he sees all of the people that he's recently screwed over. Taskmaster, Big Bertha, Weasel, Sluggo, Blind Owl, and some no-name Dingleberry from the Outer Space story arc. Gomez laughs and Deadpool says, well, I got an idea. How about I kick all your asses at the same time? Sound good? Right, Leroy Jenkins. The funny thing is, Deadpool is actually winning the 6-on-1 fight. As Gomez grabs his flamethrower, Deadpool focuses his fire on the flamethrower's gas tank, causing it to explode, throwing Gomez into the back. Blind Owl's dog Deuce begins running with his leash to the point where Blind Owl can shoot, and as Deuce bites down on Deadpool's arm, Deadpool just cuts it off. Deadpool then tosses his arm onto the ground, and as Blind Al feels the pull of the leash, she starts to fire at everyone. Weasel runs back trying to look for a weapon, stating that he knew that he shouldn't have come here. At that moment, Deadpool calls to Weasel, stating, "Hey, come on over here so I can do something horrible to you." Weasel then grabs Bob's popcorn gun and begins shooting stalks of corn into Sluggo, which after a few moments begin to explode. Deadpool grabs some of the falling popcorn, eating it, stating, "Bah! This popcorn's stale too." Everyone cocks their guns back, and Deadpool drops his knife, asking, "Is this what you want?" And then a voice inside of Deadpool's head tells him, "No, this is what you want." Death picks Deadpool up, stating that this is what he's always wanted from his friends. And as Deadpool is shot over 100 times, he wakes up a short while later. Bob holds out his severed arm, stating, "Hey, you're back." And Deadpool asks, "Where'd everyone go?" Bob tells him that they all left. I guess they thought that he was as dead as he's ever going to get. Everything okay? Deadpool tells him no, he's not. He may actually be insane, but he's starting to think that he wants his friends to kill him. He wants it so bad because he can't die. But why get his friends involved? Maybe it's because if his friends kill him, it would mean that they care about him. Except they wouldn't. Deadpool pulls down his mask, and Bob pats him on the shoulder, stating, well, he cares about him. Deadpool looks at Bob for a second, kneels down, picking up his gun, and he shoots Bob in the leg. He turns and walks out, stating, all right, time to find better friends. As Deadpool sits in on a hot tub on a tropical island, he tells Death that it's perfect. Death says, no, Wade, this is all a dream. Deadpool taps his glass with Death's, stating, damn straight it is, a dream that is gonna come true. This is gonna happen, baby, for real. In the real world, as Deadpool heals from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, he thinks maybe, not now, but soon. Just 5 days ago in Russia, he holds up a piece of paper to a pair of black market merchants, stating that he's going to need as many of these things as they can get. The merchant reads the paper, stating that these are going to be very difficult to obtain. Very rare. He understands this, right? Deadpool opens up a shipping container filled with money, stating that he understands completely. And the merchants then say that they'll be delivering it in 3 days. Fast forward back to our current day with Deadpool looking out on the New Mexico desert until he spots what he's looking for. A passing truck with Bruce Banner. A short while later, Bruce loads up on food to take back to his bunker. And Deadpool yells, man, that's a lot of food. Are you having a party? Is the Hulk gonna be there? Bruce sighs and asks, what do you want, Deadpool? Deadpool tells him, I just want to come to the party, that's all. Bruce gets in his truck telling him that there is no party, and he drives off, with Deadpool quietly stating that not yet there isn't. As Bruce drives off, he asks himself, why would Deadpool be here, and why would he want to confront him? Oh, God. A second later, Deadpool detonates the bomb that he stuck to Bruce's trunk. As the mushroom cloud rises, he yells, it's party time! And then is quickly blown away as something lands right in front of him. Hulk shouts, you wanted Hulk? You got Hulk. Meanwhile, over at the Hollowman Air Force Base, the senator yells, there was an unsanctioned nuclear detonation on American soil? And the general tells him that they know, but anything involved with the Hulk they stay away from and maintain it safe. Senator shouts, asking, the Hulk is involved? And the general tells him, look, we can just say that the detonation was made by us for testing purposes. Satellite images should be coming over soon. There is someone else involved and we believe them to be the reason for the explosion. The senator looks at the photos and says, oh God, not him. Back in the desert, Deadpool continues firing at the Hulk just outside of a convenience store, letting everyone around him watch. The shop owner asks his wife if they paid up their insurance premiums, and the wife tells him yep. The shop owner then says, thank the Lord, darling, we're moving to Florida. Out in the front of the store, Hulk punches Deadpool into the ground and gets ready to grab him when suddenly he hears a shook. Hulk looks down at his nose to see Deadpool has stabbed him in the nostril with both katanas. He stops with Deadpool thinking to himself, what can make this better? I know, stuffing the Hulk's mouth with every explosive that I have. As the Hulk's head explodes, Deadpool tells him, man, that was such an awesome plan! That means a lot coming from me. The Hulk leans back forward as smoke is coming out of his mouth, and Deadpool says, so this is it, sweet oblivion, here we come. The Hulk gets ready to attack, and then he stops, telling him no. Deadpool asks, what do you mean no? Come on, get your smash on! Hulk says, this isn't going to work, Deadpool. Whatever your plan or trap is, I'm not going to charge into it like some crazed bull. So whoever hired you. Deadpool stops him, telling him, no one hired me. And Hulk tells him, that would make it easier for me if you would just walk away then. Deadpool begins to walk away, telling him, you know, for a smart guy, you're pretty dumb. We both know who I am. Do you really think I'm just gonna walk away? Deadpool pokes Hulk's nose and Hulk yells, I'm a 2,000-pound radioactive monster. And he flicks Deadpool across the desert. As Deadpool crashes into a used car lot, he gets back up and begins detonating another bomb. The Hulk looks over, seeing Deadpool's pouch with a mini nuke in it and a note reading, lots more where that came from, DP. The bomb goes off in Hulk's face, and a second later, the Hulk jumps over to where Deadpool is sitting. But rather than hitting Deadpool, Hulk begins to throw and rip cars apart, asking, "Where are the nukes?" And Deadpool tells him, "You know what? I really shouldn't say, especially since I don't have any more. Oh wait, I shouldn't say that aloud." Deadpool then tells him, "There's one thing that I can say, and that's there's a tiny transmitter that's been surgically implanted into my body. Every hour starting now, it's going to send out a pulse that will trigger a randomly placed bomb. And you know what the coolest thing is? The transmitter is powered by my own body's natural electrical current. So the real question is, what are you gonna do about it?" Deadpool waits, and the Hulk says, "Nothing." As Deadpool looks, he asks, "Is the Hulk getting bigger? Because you're flexing a lot." Hulk shouts, "Monster!" And Deadpool tells him, "Takes one to know one." Hulk pulls back, punching Deadpool so hard that he flies through several buildings, destroying everything in its path. Deadpool closes his eyes, and Death tells him, "Hello, Wade." As Deadpool looks around at the barren land, he asks, "Did it really work? Am I dead?" And Death tells him, "Yes, but only momentarily." Deadpool begins to shout, "Damn it, damn it, damn it! I'll be back." Death then asks, "How are you going to do that?" And Deadpool opens his eyes to the real world, and he sees a giant crane, and he says, "That's how." A few moments later, Hulk jumps up, and as he looks for Deadpool, Deadpool calls out from the crane, telling him, "You know this is a hard-hat area, right? Safety first." Deadpool then begins to turn the crane to swing the wrecking ball, but the Hulk catches it, and he notices the snare on the ground. Deadpool whips the crane around, flinging the Hulk into a building, and then begins writing out his will. After a while, the cable on the crane begins to rip, and the Hulk grabs it, whipping the crane into some construction equipment. Deadpool's body is thrown out, skipping across the ground, and Hulk growls while clawing his way towards Deadpool. Deadpool begins to get back up, telling him, "Okay, I'm gonna need a better plan, and it's gonna have to be something epic." He looks at where he landed, and right in front of him is a daycare center filled with children. As Deadpool scrambles to his feet, he jumps on a little kid's bike, telling him, "Okay, this is how it's going to go." The caregiver yells that the cops are on the way, and Deadpool asks, "You know who else is on the way? About 2,000 pounds of gamma-powered stranger danger." The caregiver stares for a moment, and Deadpool asks, the Hulk? The Incredible Hulk? Gamma bomb turned nerdy scientist into a raging monster?" One of the children yells, "I know what stranger danger is. You're supposed to run away from it." And Deadpool sighs, telling him, "This is going nowhere." He begins to shoot his gun into the air, telling everyone to hurry up and get out of here. As the Hulk stomps through, Deadpool yells, "Yo!" And the Hulk jumps into the air and comes crashing back down. While the Hulk looks around at all the wreckage, up above him, the general and his men watch, and the pilot asks, should we call the Avengers?" The general tells him that he's pretty sure they already know, and they're keeping their distance for the same reason that they are. The pilot then asks, "Well, it looks like the Hulk is trying to take out Deadpool. Why don't we just do that?" The general says, "Actually, that's a good idea. Get a lock on Deadpool's position so that we can." The pilot stops him, telling him, "Actually, we shouldn't. Targeting Deadpool's a very bad idea right now. He's taking hostages." Down below, Deadpool continues to fire his gun into the air, telling everyone, "All right, into the short bus, pronto." Once the caregiver has everyone on board, she says, "Where are you taking us? And when are you gonna let us go?" Deadpool yells, "I don't know. So we're safe. And stop asking stupid questions." Just then, there's a loud explosion as the Hulk bursts through the ground, and the caregiver asks, "What's that?" Deadpool steps on the gas, trying to get away, telling her, "Once again, stupid question! Everyone put your hands down!" As Deadpool begins to drive off, he tells himself that this is so going to work. He's got the Hulk so pumped that he's going to smash him into freaking subatomic particles. The Hulk begins charging after the bus, and then Deadpool notices him stomping. He asks, what could he be doing back there? And then the Hulk claps his hands, creating a shockwave, throwing the bus off the road. Deadpool speeds off, asking if everyone back there's okay. Good, heads back down. As he drives off, he's stopped by the U.S. Army that has seemingly brought lots and lots of tanks. One of the soldiers tells the general that they have a clear shot at the bus. If they're going to make it, it needs to be now. The general asks, what about the hostages? And the soldier says reports state that they can only see Deadpool in there. He must have let them go. The general grits his teeth, telling the soldier to fire, and as the tank fires off a round, Deadpool barely swerves out of the way. The tank shell goes through, shooting past Deadpool and into the Hulk. And Deadpool then yells, well, that's just great! The Hulk's gonna go after them now! That's not fair. You accidentally shot him once by accident. I nuked him twice on purpose. The caregiver gets up asking if he's a soldier, and Deadpool says, hell no, I'm not. I'm just a guy who's trying to die. And the caregiver tells him that it's his lucky day then, and shoots him right in the head. The bus then spins around out of control, and it ends up flipping over and crashing. A few moments pass, and Deadpool wakes up asking, what happened to all the kids? And the Hulk tells him, they're fine. I also know the thing about the nukes is a lie. It's been well over an hour and nothing's happened. The Hulk then grabs Deadpool, shouting, I could have killed those children. And Deadpool says, well, you can still kill me, right? Come on, I deserve it. Hulk sets Deadpool down and tells him, is this what it was all about? A ploy. And Deadpool tells him, yeah? Is this not a healing factor? So can we get on with the smashing part of things? Hulk smiles, telling him, "You're a dangerous and deeply disturbed person." And Deadpool yells, "Right? It only gets worse the longer that." But the Hulk stops him, telling him, "I can't let you go on like this. It has to stop. Now." Deadpool shouts, "That's what I've been trying to!" But before Deadpool can finish, the Hulk punches Deadpool so hard in the head, his skull explodes. 5 days pass and a flat line on life support begins to beep. The doctor tells Captain America that it's official. Deadpool's back. Cap says that if it was 5 days sooner, they could have put him on trial. But instead, he's going to be shipped off to Crossmoor Prison in England. The doctor asks if that place is still running, and Cap tells him yeah, being converted into a mental institution. Now in the Crossmoor Prison located in central England, Warden Ames sits down with the Director General Swinton to discuss their newest prisoner, Deadpool. Ames sighs, stating that Deadpool would have been much better suited for the raft, and Swinton tells him that he fully agrees. But if it wasn't for Deadpool's legal counsel with Jennifer Walters, that's where he would be. But the resident psychologist didn't help in the matter. Just then, the intercom buzzes and Ames' aide tells him that Dr. Whitby is here to see him. Swinton pours himself another glass quietly, stating, "Speak of the devil." Psychologist Ella Whitby opens the door, asking if either of them would care to explain why Deadpool was placed in seclusion when it is clearly written that he is to be under her supervision. There is no need for him to be there and denied the treatment like any other inmates that would be here. Wouldn't you agree, Director General Swinton? Swinton holds his glass, telling her, "I fully agree. As a matter of fact, I was speaking with the warden about transferring Deadpool into your innovative and inspiring program." Ella tells the two of them, "All right then," and she closes the door behind her. Ames shouts, "My good man, could you have thrown me any further under the bus?" And Swinton tells him, "Politics, my dear chap. Like it or not, that horrible goblin of a woman is the daughter of Dr. Everett Whitby, the executive director of the NHS Trust, that is not just funding his daughter's program, but also keeping the door to Crossmoor open with funding since we've had this facility cut off." Ames sits back, stating, "I had no idea. Wait, you've been cut off? Why?" Swinton goes on and explains, "Crossmoor's security record isn't the greatest. 2 in 3 superhuman criminals have escaped since the beginning. We've received money to correct that issue, but it comes in the unpleasant form of Dr. Ella Whitby. If her psychological treatment program on violent superhumans has proven to be a success, Crossmoor's reputation could be restored along with its budget. So the important thing now is to make sure that we give the little troll what she wants. And for God's sake, do not let Deadpool escape." Which at that very moment, Deadpool's attempting to do by punching his way through all of the security guards. The sirens all begin to go off, signaling a prison break, but as Ames puts on his body armor, he quickly finds Deadpool beating on the guards with their own shock sticks. While the fight continues, Ella shouts to him, stating that she knows that he should never have been locked up in that cell, and for that she's sorry. And Deadpool asks, "Who the hell are you?" as he kicks another guard in the groin. She yells, "Hostage, Miss Hostageworth." Deadpool looks at her. "Oh, hi! Nice to make your acquaintance." He grabs Ella by the neck and he holds her out as a human shield. He then begins to yell to everyone, "If you get close, I'm gonna snack the ugly chick's neck, so you better start talking. Why am I here, and why are you all talking like pirates? It's freaking me out." Ella tells him that it's English. They're speaking English because they're in England. And Deadpool lets go of Ella, asking, "Seriously? Wow, England sucks." And just as he says that, his head explodes as a guard puts down his gun, stating, "That sorted that out." 13 minutes later, in confinement, Deadpool starts beating his head against the polycarbonate wall of his cell. As he does, a voice outside says that it seems their new patient is having some trouble adjusting to his new environment. And Ella corrects the man, stating that her patient, Mr. Cirrus. Cirrus then asks, "Isn't that getting a bit possessive? And it's Dr. Cirrus, if you don't mind." Ella tells Cirrus that actually she does mind. His practitioner's license was revoked when he committed mass murder and was put in here. Now just sit there and continue working on your puzzle while... But Cirrus slams his arms on the table, shouting, "I do not like these puzzles!" She fixes her glasses, telling him that she's very glad to hear that, Mr. Cirrus. "You're not supposed to like them." She walks over to Deadpool, asking how he's feeling, and Deadpool looks at Ella, asking, "Did we ever date? I know you from somewhere." She says, "Well, you might be thinking of earlier when he took her hostage." And Deadpool says, "We did have a relationship." As he smiles, horse-like laughter from Ella erupts, followed by a snort. And Deadpool thinks to himself, "Man, this chick really is ugly." As she fixes her glasses again, the other 2 inmates on the second floor watch, and one asks, "Hey, Kurt, who's Whitby talking to?" And Kurt tells him a fool. Ella then says, "In all seriousness, how are you feeling?" And Deadpool says that he's not sure. How about you come in here and feel me? Just then Kurt's voice shouts, how about you watch your freaking mouth? And Ella yells at Kurt to go away. Deadpool and Kurt stare each other down, and as Kurt walks away, Deadpool waves, yelling, bye-bye, Kurt! So yeah, where were we? Ella then asks, do those sores all over you hurt? Are they painful? Deadpool pauses for a moment and then turns away shouting, stop staring at me! Ella tells him, no one is. And Deadpool punches the walls, yelling, they all think they can laugh at me since I'm locked up? Just wait till I get out of here. I'm gonna lay waste to every single one of you, mother! Ella stops him, telling him, actually, your door's unlocked. It stays unlocked from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. You're free to leave whenever you'd like. Deadpool stops. Really? As he steps out, she asks, is that better? Deadpool cracks his knuckles. Much better. A short while later, over at Ames' office, he and Ella sit in silence for a few moments while Ames asks, why? Ella begins to say that they needed to treat Deadpool like all the others and give him the proper. Ames holds out a folder labeled Incident Report, stating, never in my 35 years of prison service have I ever met another man like Deadpool. 4 minutes. Within 4 minutes, Deadpool assaulted 10 other inmates, all of which received injuries so severe that they needed to be transferred to the hospital. Later, after lights out in the common room, Ella goes to Deadpool's cell telling him that they need to talk. He asks, did you see it when I stabbed the guy with his own femur? How badass was I when I stomped that jerk Kurt's face in too? Ella says, yeah, she saw all of it. Those men are going to need reconstructive surgery, possibly bone and skin grafts. But that's not why she's here. She's here to tell him that if he doesn't work with them, he'll be sent back to the States under the File 42 protocol. So it would be in his best interest to answer their questions. And let's start as to why does he wear the mask? Deadpool tells her, well, it's so I don't get stuff in my mouth. Blood, bone fragments, hair. Ella says, okay, but also, it's not when you're working. Why is that? And Deadpool shouts, because I like it! Meanwhile, over at the hospital, all of the inmates were sent to. Kurt begins to wake up with his face completely bandaged, stating, I am going to put Deadpool down. A few days later, after the inmates all had a chance to recover, they're all brought back to confinement. And Deadpool shouts, welcome back! Anybody want to play checkers before lunch? And then he stops and realizes that today is Wednesday. And he yells, that means it's fruit cocktail! But while everyone is handing out their fruit cocktails to Deadpool, Kurt watches from his cell asking, when is he going to be let back into the common room? Ella tells him as soon as she is certain that he will not retaliate based on last week's incident. Until then, he'll remain locked in his cell. Once everyone has had a chance to eat and returns to their cells, Ella takes Deadpool out and tells him, I would like you to work on a puzzle that I've made especially for you. After dumping a box of puzzle pieces onto the table, Deadpool yells, puzzles are rad! Oh, and there's no picture on this box, so how am I supposed to work out what this is? Ella tells him to start with the edges, but she must warn him. The image he sees may cause an outburst of emotions, and Deadpool looks at the pile of pieces and says, Kararachi, 11 years ago. Ella asks, what? And Deadpool goes on stating, that gig was bonkers, I even lost a foot, but this photo sucks. Whoever took this photo just took pictures of bodies, and not me being awesome, like when I mowed down half of those guys with a falafel cart that I modded with a .30 caliber minigun. Ella says that's what she wants him to see, the bodies, and Deadpool shouts, that's the boring part! She asks why is murder boring, and Deadpool tells her, I'm a mercenary, not a murderer, there's a difference. Ella tells him, so it's the money that motivates you? Because I don't believe that. I think you enjoy killing people. The two stop, and they stare at each other for a few moments, and Deadpool says, okay, when I was a kid, I saw a fully grown man die because he slipped and fell off his porch. Everyone in the neighborhood was all shocked and stuff. And just then, Deadpool trails off. Ella waits for Deadpool to continue the story, and she asks, you're saying? And Deadpool stops. Huh? Wait. She sighs, stating that they'll come back to that later, and Deadpool stretches, telling her, good, because Deadpool's sleepy. As the days went on, Deadpool became more and more withdrawn from everyone, starting to sleep out in the common area. One of those days, as mail was called, Deadpool receives a letter from himself. He looks at it asking, why would he mail himself something? Was it before he was locked up? He opens the letter and sees just a single picture. And one of the other inmates grabs it asking, is that Charlie Chaplin? Deadpool looks at the photo asking, why would I send this to myself? And another inmate says, maybe because you are mental. As everyone goes through their letters, one of the guards stops by Kurt's cell telling him that he got a letter from the parole board. The guard holds the letter up to the cell so that Kurt can read it and begins to grind his teeth. The guard says that they'll give it to him when he gets out of solitary. And Kurt tells him not to bother, just throw it away and burn it. The guard asks, bad news, huh? And Kurt says, yeah, real bad news. Later that evening, Ella heads home for the night to her apartment, but before she has the chance to go up, her landlady asks if she can have a word. Some of the other residents have been complaining about a smell coming out of her room, as she understands that she works late and even stays overnight. Maybe she could remember to take the garbage out or clean the refrigerator, that would probably help. Ella looks away, stating that she's sorry about that. She's just been so engrossed with her work that she's been losing track of time. She'll make sure everything's taken care of. She walks upstairs and walks into her apartment, which is just littered with trash and clothing. She walks over to her refrigerator and opens it. And when she looks in, she sighs. Back at Crossmore, 2 guards begin to walk over to Solitary as they release one of the prisoners back into the common room. As the first guard walks towards Pod 2, the senior guard tells him to stop. They are releasing Pod 3. The first guard says that he's pretty sure they had 2, and the senior guard tells him that he wasn't there. But Dr. Whitby clearly said 3. The senior guard looks into Kurt's cells, telling him, all right, you're free to come out and play. However, as Deadpool is sleeping in the common room, he dreams of a sweet and pleasant dream with his future wife, Death. Except when she comes home, she finds Deadpool sitting around their apartment telling him that he's a real loser. Deadpool flips through the channels of their small TV asking what she's talking about. And Death says, look at all the trash everywhere. Would it kill him to make a home-cooked meal or clean once in a while after a hard day's work? Deadpool asks, what are you talking about? A hard day's work? You're Death! Your job is nothing! You're just are! Everyone else does work for you! Death sighs, stating that she's leaving. If he wants her, he can get up and try and stop her. Deadpool folds his arms, stating, I ain't getting up. But out in the real world, Kurt is screaming to Deadpool, telling him to get up. And after snoring and not waking up, Kurt punches Deadpool off his table, and one of the other inmates says that they should look under the mask to make sure it's really him. As Kurt reaches down, Deadpool reaches up, grabbing Kurt by the throat, telling him, hell yeah! And he throws him across the common room. Deadpool looks at the other inmate, asking, you're ready for a fight, right? Because I so am. While Deadpool's brawl breaks out over in the hallways, Ella runs in stating that she got the message, what's going on? And Ames tells her that it's bloody obvious, isn't it? They're quelling a riot. Ella tells him to wait, she just isn't gonna let him do anything to. But before she could finish, she's hit with a shock stick, and Ames says that they'll deal with her later. They need to hurry and restore order to this prison. Back in the common area, Kurt whacks Deadpool in the back of the head with a shock stick and then jumps on his back as the others begin to punch him. Ames and his men reach for the door to that common area, but before he can enter, he tells the guards to wait a minute. Maybe this can, resolve itself. As Kurt pulls back the shock stick against Deadpool's throat, he shouts, why? Why did she choose you? She was mine, and then you showed up and she kicked me out. She signed off on my freaking parole. I don't want to be set free. I love her, man. But if killing you means that I get to stay here, then I'm gonna do it. Deadpool coughs, telling him, I got a better idea. Soon all the inmates run to the door, banging on it, shouting to let them out, and as Ames and his men rush in, they begin to detain everyone. A week later, the hearing for Kurt being released on parole is called, and Ames meets with the board personally as a character witness. The board goes through Kurt's papers, asking, it would seem that he had run-ins with another inmate named Wade Wilson. Ames tells him yeah, and while Deadpool has been permanently relocated to solitary confinement, he'll still receive treatment by their psychologist. Over in that unit, Ella walks into his cell, telling him that she's really sorry that all of this has happened. The moment she filed a complaint against Ames, he filed over 30 right back at her. She's a failure. After a few moments of silence, she asks him to say something, but the voice that responds, it isn't Deadpool's. Back in the hearing, the board tells Ames that they need a moment to speak with Kurt alone so that they can move this along. Ames leaves the room, giving Kurt a thumbs up, and after he leaves, the board tells Kurt that if he would, please rise. They've reviewed everything, and they've made a determination. His parole has been granted, and he is now a free man. Over in solitary confinement, Ella pauses, and Kurt is sitting there asking her, do you believe that it's possible for you to love one of your patients? Ella begins to run towards Ames' office, and as she storms in, she asks, is he gone yet? And Ames asks, what are you talking about? Ella yells, Kurt, has he left? Outside of the prison, Kurt walks outside when Ella runs after him, telling him to wait. Kurt stops, and Ella goes on stating that she can't believe she's saying this, but she loves him. At first, she thought it was simply a girlish fascination with death, but her feelings, they truly intensified with the time that they spent together. She is madly in love with him, and now that he is no longer a prisoner, Kurt turns, and he walks away. Ella calls out that maybe they should go see a film together. One of her favorites is The Great Dictator. It's a masterpiece by Charlie Chaplin. Deadpool pulls the bandages off of his face, telling her, you're the one that sent me that photo? Ella runs up, stating that she couldn't bear to see him so withdrawn from everything, but this is fate. Inside Deadpool's mind, he tells himself, this ugly chick is crazy, but not sexy crazy. She's like ugly scary. Ella holds Deadpool by the hand, telling him, she understands him better than anyone else out there. This is meant to be. And as she pulls Deadpool close, she puckers up to give him a kiss. 2 days later, after Deadpool's great escape, he sits in a dark alleyway eating a can of beans trying to figure out what to do next. If he was to leave the country, the police would just go after him. If he stays, then it means that he's gonna have to stay in England. And that totally sucks. The other problem is Ella Whitby, the doctor that confessed her love to him. Though he made it pretty clear with a sweet roundhouse kick to her face that he wasn't interested, he then sighs, stating that he just needs to forget about that chick. She's way too crazy even for him. There's no telling what a crazy person is gonna do. And then a voice tells him that she can. Hello, lover. Deadpool looks up to see Ella standing there. And as he gets up, she stops him, telling him, it's okay. She brought him a new costume to wear. Deadpool says, look, I'm pretty sure you got the wrong idea about this whole thing. There isn't anything between us. It's just me, like it's just you. She tells him that she gets it. She's not his kind of girl. He's attracted to the daring and dangerous types. But soon he'll realize just how daring she can be. She drops her trench coat, showing off a rather revealing and unflattering Deadpool costume underneath. Deadpool screams, oh my God, my eyes! And Ella says that she is quite dangerous too. She's killed people with poison, strangulation, and a knife, even a gun! She takes out a pistol and begins recklessly firing it at Deadpool. Before she can realize it, Deadpool snatches the gun out of her hands and holds it to the back of her head. She shudders, telling him, yes, take her, make her one of his conquests! Deadpool shouts, ducking, yuck! And he pistol whips Ella and begins to run away. A short while later, Ella begins to wake back up and she rubs her head seeing Deadpool gone. But he left her something, his can of beans. So like any sane person, she takes the can and licks it. The next morning, Deadpool wakes up in an alleyway to the gentle nibbles of maggots on his face and he finally tells himself, okay, it's time to leave this place. After getting dressed in his costume, he runs out into the street and punches a man yelling, you just got jacked, dingus! Deadpool style! Except the car he stole was extremely tiny because it's in England and it doesn't go very fast because it's in England, which, believe it or not, has a purpose. A few moments later, up on the highway, Deadpool puts through the traffic jam yelling, this is genius! However, it doesn't take long for the cops to spot him. He begins to yell, oh ish, one time's trying to gaffle me! He gets out of the car telling the cops to pump the brakes. There's one thing that he has that British cops don't. Guns! Just then, a large military helicopter flies over his head shouting, drop the tool, mate! As the helicopter's gun turns to Deadpool, he tells it, okay, I surrender. The British agents begin to run out, taking Deadpool down, and Deadpool asks, why are there, oh, these guys are the Queen's Secret Service, which means she's close by. One of the agents radios that they have the subject in custody. Go ahead and bring the van around. As the agent looks back, though, he sees all of his men tied up. Before the agent can even figure out what's going on, Deadpool pistol whips him in the head, taking his radio, telling everyone, please be advised, the armed gunman has escaped and is on the loose. The men watching over the Queen's carriage all begin getting in it, and the Queen asks what's even happening out there. The agent leading the men tells her that he begs her pardon, but there's been an incident. A man with a gun is close by. As the last agent climbs in, Deadpool, wearing one of the agent's suits, says, actually he has 4 guns? Check it out. He knocks all the men out and the Queen says that she would like to ask, does he plan on killing them? Deadpool tells her, nope, I'm just hitching a ride. Have you seen the traffic out there? It's bonkers. The Queen says, okay, so we're hostages? And Deadpool says, I'm not quite sure yet. And the Queen says that he doesn't seem very prepared for this kind of a situation. Deadpool yells back at her, look, I'm working on it, okay? No more questions. And since you're so old and wise, what would you do if you were, me? The Queen says that she would surrender immediately since they have no idea who he even is. And Deadpool tells her, hang on, I know why you don't know me yet. He puts on his mask and simply says, boom. Queen asks if he's recently escaped from a mental institution, and Deadpool smiles, stating, you do know me. One of the agents begins to wake up, and after cracking him in the head again with a pistol, Deadpool says, look, I'm just trying to get away from this chick who's obsessed with me. She claims that she's killed people, and she's really, really crazy. The Queen asks, would he happen to be talking about Dr. Whitby? If what he says is true, she'll look into the matter personally. Deadpool then says, the worst part is she's doing it dressed as me, like she's trying to be me. It's kind of weird and gross. A few moments later, gunfire can be heard from the coach, and the outside agents quickly surround the area. Suddenly, the door flies open, and Deadpool stumbles out, and the agents begin to beat him down. One of the agents shouts to check on the Queen, and from the other side, the Queen runs out. As the agents go look inside of the carriage, they find the Queen still there, though, dressed up as one of the agents. When the agent looks back to the Queen, he's punched out. Deadpool, now wearing the Queen's dress and crown, says, it's just such a good idea. I'm now the Queen of England. Just then the mailman shouts and Deadpool points his gun at him, asking, you wouldn't happen to have any mail for Dr. Ella Whitby, would you, by any chance? Later that night, Deadpool stands out in the street looking at the letter that he stole from the mailman, stating that this place can't tell if she's... Just then, Ella walks out of her building dressed for work at 9 p.m. Deadpool waits until she leaves and says, all right, time to be a dick. as in detective. He climbs in through the side of the building and into Ella's apartment and quickly notices that Ella is a total slob, probably just trying to be like him. He then tells himself, need to focus. I'm here to try and find evidence that Ella is a maniac psycho killer. As he searches, he begins to smell a very particularly bad odor. He heads over to the kitchen. He looks in the refrigerator, and as it opens up, he says, oh, it's just a severed head. Oh, it's my severed head. Wait, that's not just my head. There are several body parts in here. She's got enough to make an entire body. Why would she have my body parts? Deadpool then barfs in his mask. He rips the mask off, shouting, so uncool! And as he washes his mask in the sink, he then sees a picture of Warden Ames with the information of his daily schedule, specifically the 10 p.m. part. Then it finally hits Deadpool. He looks at the time showing 9:29 and says that Ella isn't going to work. She's going to, air quote, work. She's got to kill the warden. He begins to think for a moment and then he says, wait, is that such a bad thing? No, wait, actually, yes it is. If she's gonna do it as me, like defending her or some crap, there's no way that I would do that. He puts his mask back on and then he sighs, stating that it still smells like puke. Gross. He runs out of the building trying to take out a new mask, asking himself how Ella could try to kill Ames like he would. Would she stuff his mouth with TNT, bash him in the head with a mallet, shoot him out of a cannon? He then stops and says, that's it! I would teabag him! First I'd replace all of Ames' tea bags with ammonium nitrate, and then I'd turn his gas stove on so that his kettle goes off and his whole house goes boom! That's how the English people make tea, right? Whatever. Deadpool then sneaks up to Ames' house, and when he looks in the window, he sees Ella sitting there with a gun in her hand. He leans back, stating that she's probably going to give him some long speech about why she's doing this. That is so lame! A few moments later, Ames' door opens, and Ella says, why hello? You have no idea how long she's been waiting for this. Deadpool walks in telling her, you're right, I have no idea, and I really don't give a flying duck. He's here because he can't stomach the idea of her killing in his name. That isn't what he does, and when he does it with a lot more style. Ella then says that she's so glad that he came here. She's hoping that they could do this together. And Deadpool then asks, what, killing the warden? That ain't gonna happen. I warned him off, and I maybe hit him a few extra times because of the whole solitary thing. She leans in stating of course he did, but that's not what she's talking about. Suddenly the kettle on the stove goes off and the entire building explodes. Deadpool gets back up stating, you know, that would have been really impressive because that is something I would have done. Except for the part of dying and all. That wouldn't have happened. Guess there's only one thing left to do. He heads back to Ella's apartment to throw out his body parts that Ella has been saving. After tossing the last bag out the window, he says, you know, that might be why I hated Ella so much. She was trying to be me. Just then, the door to the apartment opens up and a horribly burned Ella shambles in holding a gun asking, why? Deadpool looks at her. It's not you. It's me. You may love me, but I love someone else. Ella asks Deadpool, who? And Deadpool says, it doesn't matter who. All that matters is that it's not you. She lowers the gun stating, she knows, but it will be. She takes the gun, putting the barrel into her mouth. Deadpool runs trying to stop her, but before he can make it, Ella pulls the trigger. Blood splatters onto his mask and he watches as her body falls to the ground. And then he tells himself, okay, now it's time to leave England. However, the next morning in the trash, the garbage man notices something in the dumpster, moving. The man calls his partner over to have a look at it, and then he says, blimey, is that bloody thing alive? The voice then calls out, where are we? Why are you guys talking like pirates? While the whole world is out looking for Deadpool, some people are just trying to go about their day as best they can. At the British airport, a businessman gets ready to board his personal plane to fly back to New York when he notices an awful smell coming out of the cabin. The man gags, asking, what is that smell? And over sitting in his chair, the patchwork evil Pool, whose stitched up left arm is actually a right arm, tells him, that's the smell of destiny! As in, it's your destiny to give me a ride over to the States, because your entire crew, they're tied up, so you kinda don't have a choice. While Evil Pool's plane begins to take off out in the middle of the sea on a freighter, Deadpool breaks into a crate, slightly regretting not stealing a plane. But since he's trying to keep a low profile while getting back to the States, well, this works. Once the crate lid pops off, Deadpool shouts, booyah! And he pulls out a can of food. His brain tells him that it's dog food, while his thumb covers up the dog part of it, and he says that maybe it's just the company's mascot. He pries off the top and he looks at it, telling his brain, thanks for the warning, this is dog food. Well, time to eat. Back on the plane, the businessman asks Evil Pool what he wants, and Evil Pool tells him, I would like pretzels! The businessman says that there aren't any pretzels, and Evil Pool then says, well then there isn't anything that you can do for me. Unlike the pilot and the co-pilot who fly the plane, the stewardess was just so much fun to leer at, so watch this. He leans over in his chair and leers at the woman who scoots away, and Evil Pool says, see, that girl's a keeper, but you're kinda useless, since you're probably gonna be killed. The businessman yells that would be a stupid thing to do. He's worth billions. He can do anything. And Evil tells him, okay, I'm gonna consult my brain for a moment. And my brain says that I should set you on fire and kick you out of the plane. He looks over at the alcohol at the bar and he says, after much deliberation, I've reached a conclusion. 5 seconds later, the businessman is set on fire and kicked out of the plane. And over on the freighter, Deadpool stuffs himself with dog food, sighing, thinking about Ella Whitby and what she did. For her, it was easy to off herself. She said she was gonna do it, and she did it. Boom, gone. But him, this healing factor makes it impossible to just die. Oh well. Might as well get the next part over with. Deadpool grabs an axe, breaking a lock on one of the shipping containers, and he opens it, asking, any of you guys speak English? A group of women look up, and one of them says that she knows a little, and Deadpool says, so what's the deal here? Why are you all on the freighter? The woman then stands up, stating that they are from Croatia, and others are from Ukraine. Men say they want to make them models, and then take their passports. Deadpool says, that's what I thought. Don't worry, I'm gonna help. In New York, I know a Russian consulate who can take care of your problems. Now take this gun, and if anyone opens the door, blast them. The woman asks, how would she know not to shoot him? And Deadpool says, I'll say the password. Something like, hey, it's me. You got it? Good. Deadpool starts to close the door and the woman says, wait, the men out there have guns. And Deadpool flexes, stating, I got 2 of my own guns, baby. Boom! And then Deadpool proceeded to use them to kill all of the smugglers. Once the room was clear, Deadpool hops onto the control, stating that this is gonna be easy. I used to be a pirate before. The woman from before tells him that he's a good man, and Deadpool tells her, nah, not really, I kill people for money. The woman says they don't have any money, and Deadpool spins around telling her, oh no, I didn't do this for your money. Think of this as a freebie, no payment required. The woman touches Deadpool's chest, telling him that he has a good heart. And Deadpool turns back, stating, maybe some parts are good, but other parts, not so much. We should probably go get you guys something to eat and get some sleep. We'll be in New York in the morning. The woman says that she can make him some food, and Deadpool tells her, nah, I'm good. There's this sick-ass chimichanga place in New Jersey I want to hit when we get home. Got some real gut-busting stuff. Can't fill up on crap before then, you know what I'm saying? The woman stares at him and says that no, she does not. She's gonna sleep and wait for morning. The next morning, Deadpool drops the girls off at the Russian consulate, and then he starts walking to New Jersey to get himself some of those chimichangas. As he walks across the bridge, he notices a man standing on the edge telling everyone to get away from him. So Deadpool runs up asking, dude, are you gonna kill yourself? Is it cool if I watch? The man shouts, no, it's not cool. This is kind of a private moment. And Deadpool says, oh, okay, understandable. It's just that I want to kill myself too. The man tells him, look, there's no friggin' way we're doing it together. I can't have my family thing. I was, you know. Deadpool waves his hand and he starts walking up, telling him, fine, fine. But then the man says that he has cancer. Deadpool spins back, telling him, really? So do I. But that isn't why I want to kill myself. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Killing a bunch of people might factor into it as well. The man then asks, well, would you mind killing me? Because the thought of jumping off the bridge is kind of scary. Meanwhile, over at the restaurant that Deadpool wants to go to, Evil Pool walks in telling the cashier, I'm gonna need some chimichangas pronto. The cashier says that they aren't open yet, and Evil Pool says, look, I didn't fly in from England on a private jet to teleport off of that jet just to be told no. Now make some chimichangas. The cashier pauses and asks, teleporter? And Evil Pool says, yeah, I got one of those because I'm baller. And the cashier says, you also have a jet? And Evil Pool says, yeah, you want to see? It should be landing right about now. And the cashier looks out the window to see the plane that Evil Pool stole crashing into the George Washington Bridge. Underneath the George Washington Bridge, the suicidal man gets up gasping for air, looking up at the burning bridge, shouting, holy crap! And Deadpool swims up behind him, telling him, crazy, huh? Can't believe we survived that. Oh wait, I was gonna kill you. Now relax, with one snap it'll all be over. The man struggles to get free, telling him, wait, I want to live now. Just leave me alone. He begins to swim away, and Deadpool scoffs, telling him, fine, have it your way. Pass up on a golden opportunity to go out and blaze of glory. As Deadpool drags himself out of the waters, he finally reaches the restaurant that he wanted to go to, but he finds it destroyed and on fire. He asks one simple question. Who would do such a thing? And the voice behind him tells him, hey, what's up? Deadpool turns around to see Evil Pool standing there. Deadpool yells, this place was my all-time favorite. And Evil Pool tells him, yeah, mine too. But blowing it up seemed like an evil thing to do. Deadpool then asks, did you at least eat here first? And Evil Pool tells him, oh yeah, life-changing stuff. The two glare at each other for a moment, and Evil Pool says, isn't this freaking you out? And Deadpool turns, walking away, stating, Evil Pool thinks to himself, there's no way I'm gonna let this slide. You must be thinking of something to do, like running me over with a garbage truck or something. And Deadpool does. And as he crashes the garbage truck into Evil Pool, he laughs, stating, God, I love crashing into stuff. That's when Evil Pool, who's now sitting in the passenger seat, tells him, yeah, so do I. And he kicks Deadpool out of the truck. Deadpool lands on his back thinking, what am I supposed to do? This guy knows all my moves. So Evilpool rips the shifter off and jumps out of the truck, hitting Deadpool. And as he cracks Deadpool on the face, he stops asking, why aren't you blocking this? Deadpool leans up with a gun and Evilpool tells him, nice. And Deadpool opens fire. Evilpool begins to run away, and as Deadpool takes aim again, he looks closer to see that Evilpool's left arm is twisting back. And he asks, why do you have a backwards arm? Evilpool begins to shoot, and the two of them keep pulling the trigger until they run out of bullets. As the two pause, Deadpool says, this would be cooler if we had bigger guns. And Evilpool tells him, yeah, okay. How about we pick a time and place? Deadpool tells him, 11 o'clock. And Evilpool tells him, Carnegie Park. Deadpool gets up holding his side, asking him, which weapons cache are you gonna get? Evilpool tells him, 93rd and K. And Deadpool tells him, you're messed up. South Market Street is where the good stuff is. Later that night at the weapons cache at Cromwell and Highland, neither of the places that the two of them spoke about, Deadpool begins to unlock the door. As he opens it, the doors explode and Evilpool asks, who you trying to fool? This is the place where all the good stuff is. Now you're probably wondering why this is happening, but Deadpool stops him, telling him, I remember getting my head cut off like 3 years ago. So you probably don't know that 2 years ago I got real paranoid because of a guy named Norman Osborn. Because of that, I booby-trapped some of my gun drops, like the ones with the good stuff. 2 seconds later, the car that Deadpool placed the bombs underneath explodes, lighting up the entire city. A couple of minutes later, Deadpool watches the burning building, stating, there is no way that he made it out of that, right? And that's when he hears a gun being cocked, and Evilpool stands there with a rifle pointed right at him, with Deadpool stating, this is why nobody likes me. Evilpool tells him, you got a lot to learn. And Deadpool says, yeah, and you're gonna teach me, right? Just pull the damn trigger. Deadpool waits for a second and then turns around to see Evilpool is already gone. And he shouts, I just got punked! What? Now Evilpool is gonna go do something that I would do, and that would be, but before Deadpool could say it, he's struck in the head with something. He rolls around asking who would do that, and he went, oh, wait, not him. And the red and blue blur shoots by and a voice says, no more second chances, Deadpool. This is it. You're done. Deadpool looks up to see Captain America. Deadpool throws his hands up, telling him, wait, I can explain, Cap. And Cap punches him, telling him, Bruce gave you a chance. We thought you could be cured, but there's no cure for you. Deadpool gets up and he begins running, yelling him, just give me a second! And Cap throws his shield into Deadpool's back, telling him, no! If you won't listen to the Hulk, you're not gonna listen to me. You broke out of prison, and then you crashed a jet into the George Washington Bridge. Deadpool gets up telling him, it wasn't me! It was my evil twin! And Cap stomps on his head, telling him, right. Deadpool jumps up to avoid getting hit again, and as he lands, Cap throws his shield again. Deadpool catches it, telling him, screw that! I'm not some kind of terrorist. Cap tells him, that's pretty impressive. Now let's see if you can use it. Deadpool throws the shield and misses. So Cap lunges forward, knocking Deadpool to the ground, pinning him, getting ready to punch him again. As the shield comes back, it hits Cap in the back of the neck, and Deadpool gets up running away, shouting, I'm not as bad as you think! The next day, Deadpool heads to another cache, trying to figure out what his evil self would do. He would have to do something and beat him to the punch. Now, what would he do that's so evil? Oh, I know. Cap's not going to be happy about that. Deadpool runs outside, telling a woman, give me that! And he starts to shoot his gun. Everyone screams, looking at him, and Deadpool says, my name is Deadpool, and the vest here is named Hair Trigger Bomb Explosion. And if that doesn't excite you, how about this? I'm gonna kill the hell out of this kid! Meanwhile, over at the precinct, Mayor J. Jonah Jameson tells Police Chief Pratchett that they need to start kicking in more doors and doing more raids. Pratchett says that he'll let the commander know himself. It's gonna take some time, though. Jonah yells, today! We gotta start today! And just then a group of officers run in shouting that Deadpool's taking a child hostage in Times Square. Jonah shouts, that's what I'm talking about! We need to get out there and get in front of this. But then another officer comes in telling Pratchett that his wife is, but Pratchett says that he'll have to call him back. The officer says that she's not on the phone, she is, and that's when Pratchett's wife, Melissa, runs in screaming, the kids! They're gone! Pratchett asks her what is she doing, and Melissa holds up a letter with blood stating, got your kids! And a picture of Deadpool is on them. Pratchett looks at the raid officers telling them to hand him his weapons. And back in Times Square, Deadpool kicks a cab driver out of his car, telling the child to just sit there and not move. The boy begins to cry, stating, please, don't! And Deadpool says, look, I'm not gonna shoot you. I just need to steal this bad man's thunder. You know what I mean? The boy shakes his head and Deadpool says, look, if the bad man's gonna kill a kid, he won't bother if the shock value is taken away from him. Just take my word on it. But up in the building across the way, Evilpool looks out the window, standing over a knocked out Captain America. A short while later, Deadpool looks around outside at all of the cop cars surrounding him, stating, crap's gotten pretty real all of a sudden, huh? Elsewhere in the train yard, Pratchett's children sit watching Evilpool, who is currently sleeping. Evilpool snores, waking himself up, and Pratchett's son gets up asking, do you know who my daddy is? Evilpool reaches into his bag, pulling out tape, telling him, actually, yeah, I know exactly who he is. Why do you think I took you, smarty pants? Back in the precinct, Pratchett runs out of the building with his rifle, and Jonah stops him, telling him he doesn't want to do this. Pratchett shouts, "I'm gonna get my family back," and then there's a bip, bip, bip. An electronic voice says that they need to speak with whoever is in charge. Pratchett asks, "Who is this?" And a tetraplegic woman in a motorized wheelchair responds, "Interpol, bitch." Pratchett says that he appreciates Interpol's interest, but the NYPD is not requesting any support from the woman. Agent Kemp says, "That's the thing. We have. Do you know how many people are after Deadpool? Unfortunately for him, you're going to have to get in line." Back in Times Square, Deadpool peeks out a window asking, "Could this get any worse?" And the boy says that he's got to use the bathroom. So Deadpool stares for a moment and asks, "Wait, number 1 or number 2? The boy doesn't say anything. So Deadpool tells him, "Actually, good, do it in my bag." Back over at the precinct, Pratchett holds up the letter from Deadpool stating, "Look, he took my kids last night. I'm going no matter what you say." Kemp tells him that that's impossible. They've been monitoring Deadpool's movements by satellite for the past 3 days. Other than taking the child that he has right now, he hasn't kidnapped anyone else. Then a voice comes up and goes, "If he hasn't, then his partner did. Deadpool's not working alone." Cap storms through the crowd stating, "I've been shadowing Deadpool myself, and then I was attacked and knocked out. If I was attacked, that means that Deadpool probably knew he was being followed. There's a reason for all of this." And Jonah asks, "A trap?" A short while later, once the police move into Times Square, Cap tells Kemp that she's gonna need to pull her men out. Kemp says that Deadpool is one man with one hostage. He's completely surrounded by trained agents waiting too, and Cap asks, "What are they gonna do? Shoot him? Arrest him? You have no idea what you're dealing with." Kemp stares for a moment and then says, "Neither do you." Pratchett runs out of the SWAT van stating that Deadpool just threw someone out of a car. And over the radio, an officer yells that they're moving in. It appears that Deadpool threw out a bag of human feces. He just kind of chucked it out the window and stuck it to a wall. Cap snatches the radio, shouting to the officers to get away from the bag and evacuate the entire square, and all of the officers begin to clear out. But back in the cab, Deadpool asks the boy, "You like video games, right? Games like Grand Theft Auto?" The boy says, "Mom won't let me play those games." So Deadpool tells him, "It doesn't matter. One pedal moves the car, the other stops the car. I'm gonna need you to get us the hell out of here." A few moments later, the taxi speeds off, leaving Deadpool out in the open. A second later, Deadpool detonates the feces bomb that he threw out the window, allowing him to escape during the confusion. Later, at one of Deadpool's hideouts, he looks at himself in a mirror, stating that Evil Pool wants to teach him a lesson. He wants him to see how other people see him. Homicidal, maniac, unstable, untrustworthy. A walking disaster looking for a place to happen. He wants to show him that he's the only one fooled by the mask. Deadpool takes it off, stating, "I already know that people are afraid of me. Now it's time for me to be the one teaching the lesson." Later in a warehouse, Deadpool stands out in the open, calling out to Evil Pool. Evil Pool teleports in, punching him in the back, and then teleports away as Deadpool tries to counter. Deadpool shouts, asking, "You know why I stopped using teleporters? Because it made things too easy. How about taking off the training wheels and getting a ring?" He then pulls out his katanas, and Evil Pool shouts from the other room, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." Inside of the room, Evil Pool whispers to Pratchett's kids, stating, "Shh, be very quiet, my little piggies." Back inside, Deadpool begins to load up the door with explosives, but before he can push the detonator, he's shot in the back of the head. Deadpool then drops his remote and Pratchett kicks it away, asking, "Did you really think that I wouldn't know that you were going to be setting up a trap?" He bashes Deadpool with the gun, asking, "Where are my kids?" And Deadpool looks back at the door, stating, "Oh, they must be in there." Pratchett then shouts to his kids that he's coming, but just before Deadpool can grab the remote, Evil Pool teleports in, grabbing it. Evil Pool pushes the button, but the door doesn't explode, and instead a beeping sound can be heard from the duffel bag behind Evil Pool. As that bag explodes, it blows Evil Pool to pieces. Deadpool jumps up, stating that it looks like the cops trying to say something, but I can't hear him with all this ringing. He says maybe something like, "Thank you from the bottom of my heart." And then Pratchett starts to shoot at Deadpool again. Deadpool jumps to the side, shooting his own gun, and then the lock on the door, stating, "Look, just get your kids and get out of here." As Pratchett leaves, Evil Pool shuffles out, missing a leg, stating, "There's gotta be a joke to be had here." And Deadpool tells him, "Nah, there's just an ass-kicking contest." Before the two of them start fighting, Evil Pool pulls off his mask, asking, "Do you know why all of this happened? It was so that you could see that no matter how many stupid kids you save or goofy-ass civilians you take a bullet for, they will look at you and see nothing but a monster." Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, I figured that was the lesson. But then I look at you and all I see are the parts of me that I want dead. Here it is. I'm trying to find a way to permanently end this messed up life, and it would be all kinds of pointless if I left you here. We're both the same." Evil Pool shouts, "Nope, wrong. When I crashed that jet into the bridge or when I nuked the taco shack, I did it because I loved it. This life is awesome and things are just getting started." That's when there's another and Cap walks in, telling him, "Wrong, drop the weapons." Evil Pool laughs, asking, "Did you just get me to confess all of that so that Captain America can hear me?" And as Cap says, "Both of you." Deadpool sighs, he says, "Evidently not." Evil Pool pulls out a gun, telling him, "I'm just gonna blow there." But then he's struck with a dart and the officers unload into him. Deadpool runs over, pulling the dart, asking, "What's this?" and the agents say that it wasn't from them. Deadpool looks back at Evil Pool and his skin begins turning to normal, and he says that it looks like he got his wish. Holy crap, Evil Pool is actually dying. Deadpool asks how. How is he turning to normal? And then he pushes the button on Evil Pool's teleporter. Before we jump into what Deadpool's gotten himself into, though, we have to look back to something that started 5 months ago in Navi, Michigan, at a storage facility. The owner tells the agent that he's got until 6 to clean it out, and the agent says that he understands. As the shutters open, the agent starts to dump the contents of all of the boxes looking for something specific. And then he gets a phone call. He answers and a voice asks, "So?" And the agent rubs his head, stating that it's just more dead ends. Every lead that they've had didn't go anywhere. The voice then asks, "What about the aunt you said you found?" And the agent says that she was dead almost 2 years ago, another suicide. This family's got some serious mental issues. As the agent pauses, he looks at the ground and says, "Jackpot, there's a scrapbook here. Baby's first word, baby's first haircut." The voice on the line tells the agent to send him that book. Flash forward to the present, and Deadpool finds himself in a dump, shouting, "I was so close! Evil Pool died when it should have been me. I've got to come up with a new plan to figure out who wants me dead. I better call the X-Force." A few days later, Deadpool stands outside of the X-Force hideout with Wolverine asking him, "So there's a serum that nullifies mutations and you've already used it?" Deadpool shouts, "Yep, and I'm gonna use it again if you don't." But Wolverine stops him asking, "Are we sure that it's you?" And Deadpool tells him 100%. So Wolverine tells him, "Okay, then let's go kill Kingpin." Before everyone leaves, Wolverine asks, "Why did you come to us with this anyway?" Deadpool tells him it's because X-Force takes down threats to humankind, right? And Wolverine tells him, "Yeah, but that isn't what you do. You're more of a lone wolf, gun-blazing type. Maybe Psylocke can get a read." Psylocke looks into Deadpool's mind, which is in complete chaos with how many voices are actually inside of his head. He sighs and says that he just needs their help. And Wolverine lets out a small laugh, so Deadpool says, "Fine, you know what? I'll handle it myself." Psylocke whispers to Wolverine that as far as she can tell, he's being honest. He really does want this, and he really doesn't want to ask for help. However, this isn't the start of Deadpool's master plan. It actually started a few days ago with Daken, Wolverine's son. After explaining the situation to him and how the serum works, Daken told him something about this sounds too good to be true. "But I do wish you good luck on dying." But that wasn't the only thing. Just the other day, Deadpool had sent Bob to meet with Kingpin to let him know about the serum. Kingpin sits at his desk with Typhoid Mary, and he says that he wants him to find this serum to kill Deadpool. Why? Bob kicks his feet up on the desk, telling him, "Because that jerk shot me in the leg and I hate him." Kingpin tells him, "No, you misunderstand. I want to know why I should do anything for you, and remove your foot before I have it removed." Kingpin then asks again, "Why do I want to kill Deadpool?" And Bob says, "Because I just want to take him down a peg. Maybe if he wasn't unkillable anymore, he would have some empathy for the rest of us. What do you say?" Kingpin tells him, "No, I'm not going to help you. Frankly, I don't even know where to begin." Bob tells him that that's kind of surprising. He thought that if anybody would know where to find a serum that would remove mutations, it would be Kingpin, the big crime boss of... Kingpin stops him and tells him, "Leave, now, before I do what natural selection should have done a long time ago." Bob asks him, "What?" And Kingpin throws Bob out in the streets and tells Mary to find that serum. Mary says why would he want to worry about killing Deadpool when he's already running a global empire? Kingpin tells her, "I couldn't care less about Deadpool. But a serum that can negate mutant powers, that, my dear Typhoid Mary, is an asset that could be used not only to protect an empire, but to expand an empire. Deploy the hand." Back in the present at the X-Force hideout, now that Deadpool's master plan has been pushed into motion, Wolverine says, "Okay, I got the names of 4 snipers who are currently active in New York. We can forget about 2 of them because when we checked where the shot was fired from, their scents weren't there. The other 2 are named Kuberlavik and Van Buren. Phantom X and Psylocke will take the Serb, and myself and Nightcrawler will take out the Dutchman." Deadpool asks, "What about me?" And Wolverine tells him, "You stay here. Odds are these 2 guys are the ones that fired that shot, which is why you need to stay. We need to catch this guy, not kill him." Deadpool yells, Okay, fine. You're right and I'm wrong. You're smart and I'm dumb. You're the ones without a teleporter and I'm the one with the teleporter." As Nightcrawler jumps to grab Deadpool, Deadpool presses the button and begins to fade away. Everyone begins to look around for Deadpool, but Phantom X says that what they need to do now is kill those snipers. 18 minutes later, X-Force appears at the first location to find Van Buren has already been murdered. But as Wolverine looks at the body, he says that it wasn't Deadpool. Typhoid Mary walks up with her ninjas, telling him, "No, it wasn't." Elsewhere, Daken leans back on a pool table, telling someone that just in case he didn't know, Deadpool is still alive. Figured he'd let him know since he went to such lengths to kill him. Oh, and you should get a new sniper if you want someone to actually get the job done. The man tells Dakin that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and Dakin tells him, really? Well, in that case, I'll just leave. Later, on top of a building, Deadpool shouts, all right, the pieces are set. And Bob tells him, but you don't even know how to play chess. And Deadpool tells him, sure I do. I just don't know how to play by the rules. Also, at this time in the lab, a scientist answers his phone telling him yes, he can make more, but not much more. The original DNA sample is almost. And the voice from before shouts, just give me as much as you can to do it fast. And he hangs up. And now we discover the voice that started this belongs to none other than Tombstone. Back at the building, Deadpool watches as an ambulance speeds by, and he says that it looks like his ex-pals are sure having fun. And Bob asks, fun? This isn't fun. This is, I don't even know what this is. What are we even doing? And Deadpool tells him, we're sticking to a plan. We should probably scoot before we're seen. And just then, Spider-Man swings by. Over with Tombstone, he gets a call from his agent stating that he's the one who screwed up the job. He's gone. Problem is that he was gone before they even got there. And Tombstone asks, was it Deadpool? And the agent says it was big and nasty enough to be, but no, you're not gonna like who it was. It was the Hand. A short while later, over at Kingpin's tower, Typhoid Mary walks in all bloodied up, and Kingpin asks her what happened. She tells him, well, there was a fight, and the issue they ran into is that Van Buren was dead before they got there. So what they now know is that Wolverine is looking for the serum as well. And unless they believe in incredible coincidences, they also know that Van Buren was the trigger man. Kingpin says, we still don't know who hired him or who killed him. And until we know that, just then a voice calls out stating that maybe they can help him with that. Back at the hideout, Wolverine says that he knows who killed Van Buren, Dakin. Nightcrawler asks why would he be looking for the serum, and Wolverine tells him most likely to use it on him, or wait, where's Deadpool? Psylocke pulls up the TV, and as the screen lights up, a reporter says that there have been several explosions that went off tonight, obliterating several Diamond District offices. Speculation as to what the motivation behind the attack has been rampant, but one theory in particular has caught a lot of people's attention, and they now go live to One Police Plaza. Reporters swarm around Chief Pratchett, asking if it's true that all of those businesses were secretly owned by Wilson Fisk. Is this a fallout from the gang war? Wolverine sighs, stating, you stupid. And Deadpool tells him, yeah, you saw it, huh? Nice, I'm awesome, huh? Wolverine turns and he swings, but Deadpool catches the punch, pulling his gun, telling Fantomex to drop. Wolverine tells him, don't tell me that you started a gang war. And Deadpool tells him that he didn't start a gang war, but he made it look like there's a gang war starting. Just then, Deadpool screams as Wolverine pops his claws into his hand. And Deadpool thinks that he probably should have saw that coming. He shouts asking, do you realize how close I was to having people notice us? Spider-Man almost caught me. And who could be next? The Fantastic Four? The Avengers? Most of the heavy hitters live in New York City. Fantomex says, so it was an overly elaborate smokescreen, and Deadpool tells him, masterfully executed. Back at the pool hall, Tombstone asks, so Deadpool shot you? And Bob says, uh-huh, and I want to make him pay for it. Tombstone asks, what would make you think that I can help you? And Bob says, well, I don't really know if you can. I just thought that since you spend a lot of time in prison, you might have had a lot of time to think. Tombstone asks, if I could kill Deadpool, and that's a big if, I would want to do it myself. Bob says, yeah, but see, I can get close to him. He would never suspect it. Tombstone pauses for a moment and then asks, how soon can you get close to him? And Bob says, I'm not sure. Maybe within an hour? Tombstone says, so he's in the city? Bob begins to panic, and he teleports away. Earlier, back at Kingpin's tower, Kingpin looks at Tombstone asking, how did you get here? And Tombstone tells him, with my charm, of course. But now that I'm here, what's going on? Do we have some beef that I didn't know about? And Kingpin tells him, I'm not particularly grateful for my business needing renovations. Tombstone tells him, it wasn't me. And Kingpin asks, what makes you think that I was coming after you? Tombstone laughs and he says, I'm beginning to think that you're not. Well, have you had any strange visitors lately? Back at the current time in the pool hall, Tombstone tells his driver to bring the car around. They're going to the lab. Underneath that pool table that Dakin leaned up against earlier, a small device begins to beep. As the driver goes outside, Dakin appears behind him, stating, so, where's this lab? Meanwhile, over at X-Force, Psylocke asks how are they going to deal with Dakin? And Fantomex says, directly I'd suggest. Wolverine says, that's my son. And Fantomex tells him, it sounds like a Wolverine problem is now become an X-Force problem. Deadpool then says, I'll handle Dakin. You should go find the serum while I keep Dakin busy. Back over at the pool hall, Tombstone notices that his driver never came back and that his car has been stolen. He runs into the street, stealing a car, and he speeds down to the lab. He asks himself, who would want to be screwing with me, Fisk? Nah, Deadpool? He's gonna be sorry, But as Tombstone pulls up to the lab, he sees the scientist is now on fire. The next day, as Dakin is sitting for lunch, he notices his phone ringing. He then looks at the number and asks, "How did you get this number?" Deadpool tells him, "Around. Also, did you know that nobody likes you? Anyway, did you find it yet?" Dakin tells him, "Find what exactly?" And Deadpool says, "Just cut the BS. We both know you're in New York for a reason, and it ain't for the Coco van." Dakin then asks, "Are you following me?" And Deadpool tells him, "I was, until you sat down." Just then, Dakin feels a thump coming from underneath him. Deadpool pokes the floor, stating, "I just needed to know where you were sitting so that I could plant a C4. All I want to do is give you a message. It's from your dad. Get the hell out of New York City." Dakin asks, why wouldn't he just deliver the message himself? And Deadpool tells him, because he has more important stuff to do right now, or at least more important than you. Deadpool takes the C4 down, telling him, "Okay, you can go now." Later, back at X-Force, Deadpool tells everyone, "I have no idea where Dakin is." Wolverine tells him, "Kingpin's dug himself deep and he hasn't left his building in 2 days." And Phantom sighs, telling he fears that their cause is lost. Deadpool says, "Don't get mad at me. I've been working on something. I got a guy in the inside at Kingpin's building. He's gonna call later and inform us where the weak spots are. And believe me when I say that this guy knows all of the weak spots." Meanwhile, over at Kingpin's tower, after getting hit one last time, Kingpin asks Bob, "Did you really think that I wouldn't find out what you were up to?" Bob coughs, holding his side, stating, I don't even know what I'm up to. Look, you don't have to torture me. Just the thought of you torturing me is enough to make me spill the beans." Typhoid Mary tells him to relax. They didn't kidnap him for information. They kidnapped him because they needed bait. A few seconds later, a loud explosion goes off and Typhoid Mary says, well, we got a nipple. Up above, Deadpool and X-Force burst in and they charge through a group of hand ninjas, with Wolverine asking, "This is the weak spot?" Typhoid Mary hurries up to see what's going on and tells Deadpool that she was expecting to see him, and it would be more of an intimate thing. She wasn't expecting him to bring friends. Wolverine asks, "What is she talking about?" And in Deadpool's head, he tells himself, "Oh shizzle, gotta protect the ruse." Psylocke overhears his thoughts, asking, "Ruse?" And Deadpool shouts to Nightcrawler to hurry and get Psylocke out of here. Nightcrawler does just that, and as the others spot Kingpin, they begin to run towards him. Deadpool sees Wolverine and Phantomex going, and he shouts, "Look out!" And he shoots a nearby statue. Wolverine asks, what are they looking out for? But then the statue gives way, and it comes crashing down on Wolverine and Phantomex. Deadpool tells himself, all right, these guys aren't idiots. They're gonna know what I'm up to, but it doesn't matter. It's do or die. A few moments later, up on the rooftop, Kingpin runs out of the elevator to his helicopter, but before he can get on it, he sees Deadpool standing in his way. Deadpool tells him, "You're gonna have to get used to this kind of thing happening, because until I'm dead and gone, I'm just gonna keep coming. What are you waiting for? You wanna resist over this nightmare, Kingpin? Then you gotta go through me." And just then another voice says, "Don't you mean go through us, Mr. Wilson?" Deadpool looks past Kingpin to see Bob, and a second later, the rest of X-Force is bamfing in with Nightcrawler's teleporting ability. And Wolverine asks, "Yeah, don't you mean us?" Deadpool sighs, telling Kingpin, "Remember who was the one who saved you. Not that I plan on being around to collect on any debt or anything." Deadpool pulls the pin on a few grenades, tossing them, and before they can hit the ground, Phantomex shoots them back, causing them to bounce into the helicopter. Deadpool ducks for cover as he shouts, "Ah, freaking French scramblet!" Kingpin then runs towards the ledge, jumping up, stating, "The ride would have probably crashed anyway. I'm really not the best pilot, but I do always wear a parachute." Wolverine shouts, "I knew Wade was lying about something!" But before Wolverine could move, he's shot with a dart in the back of the neck. He stops moving and across the way. Dakin continues to watch him through the scope of a sniper rifle. Deadpool yells, "Finally, someone was going to come up with it sooner or later. Now it's time to get the serum." Bob reaches out stating, "Wait!" But Deadpool shouts, "Damn it! I've got to get Dakin before he gets away. Let me go, Bob!" But just then, Deadpool feels a sharp pain in his chest, and he looks down to see Bob injecting the serum, stating, "I am letting you go." Deadpool grabs Bob and the two of them teleport away, and he asks, "You got something you want to tell me, Bob?" Bob looks away, stating, "Remember when I said I had to go to Tombstone to make a deal? Well, I did, like for reals. And I had the cooker make some stuff based on your DNA. Didn't really understand it all, but he said that he had some secret ingredient and it turned out to be just baby hair." Deadpool says that he sent him to pretend to betray him, and you actually betrayed me, Bob? Bob holds his hands up to brace for a hit, stating, "I did, but you were just getting out of control. Getting the mutants involved? You started a gang war, Deadpool. Someone needs to stop you." Deadpool pats Bob on the shoulder and he says, "It's okay, dude." And Bob says, "Holy, you really did want this to happen." Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, what I'm looking for are friends, which I'll never have. That'll kill me, which also can never happen, because I just wanted someone to care about me. Except no one will. And I knew I could count on you." Bob says, "Well, congratulations then?" And Deadpool tells him, it's not over yet. I'll fill you in on the deets later. But hey, thanks, pal. As he teleports away, Bob sighs, stating, we're not pals. Deadpool then appears outside asking, what do you say, guys? Still friends? And inside the X-Force hideout, Phantom X grabs his gun asking, what do you think? Deadpool says, okay, maybe I wasn't completely straight with you guys, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry that Wolverine got injected with that stuff. I didn't mean to do permanent damage. And Wolverine tells him, well, it didn't because the serum's not working. Deadpool says, wait, what? And the computer begins to explain, and Deadpool clearly doesn't understand all of the scientific terms. So he asks everyone, what is all that supposed to mean? Psylocke says that it only works on him. And Deadpool smiles, shouting, yes! Nightcrawler says, you wanted this? And Deadpool says, hell yeah, I did. Thanks, by the way. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Wolverine yells, you lied to us. You put X-Force at risk about being discovered. And also you could live out a death wish? Deadpool says, if you want to put it like that, well, I won. Wolverine's claws pop and he swipes at Deadpool, and Deadpool activates the teleporter, reappearing in Bob's apartment. Bob looks up from the stove and Deadpool shouts, Bob, I've done it! I've created the ultimate death trap. There's no way that I'm getting out of this. 4 of the best killers are... Just then there's a loud clong as Bob throws the pot of water, yelling, you are such a jerk! You used me, all of us, and for what? So I would inject you so that you would calm down, pull back a lit, feel like a mortal like the rest of us? I'm not sure why you want to die, but knowing you, it's got to be something big, right? Couldn't just be satisfied with a normal death, like getting shot by Tombstone? Deadpool shouts, that guy? No way. And Bob sits down holding his head, stating, of course not! It's not grand enough for you. Guess it's going to have to be me then. Deadpool asks, wait, what are you talking about? And Bob tells him, you really don't listen. I made a deal with Tombstone to set you up so that Tombstone will be the one to kill you. And when he does, what do you think is gonna happen to old Bob? Deadpool pauses for a moment and he says, dude, it'll be okay. I'll come up with a plan too. And Bob asks, what? Kill Tombstone? Tombstone is freaking bulletproof. Did you ever stop to think that maybe your death might have consequences for the people that aren't you? The words finally begin to sink in and Deadpool says, no, well, not until now. Meanwhile, at X-Force's hideout, Wolverine tells everyone, it's settled. Deadpool dies. Back at Bob's house, he starts to make some more macaroni and cheese and Deadpool says, all right, I got it. We just need to get a little distance between everyone so that I can come up with a plan. We got ourselves a teleporter, so how about we get the hell out of the city? And Bob tells him, there's no we. I'm done with it all. Just no point in running. Deadpool asks, you're just gonna give up and eat macaroni and cheese? You don't even like macaroni and cheese. Look, I understand the whole Tombstone thing's a bit scary, but he's the last thing that we need to worry about. Just as Deadpool holds up the teleporter, it's shot out of his hand, and Tombstone tells him, actually, you should. Deadpool grabs his gun and he starts shooting, telling Bob, go out of the fire escape! We're getting out of here! As the two of them jump down into the alleyway, they begin to run, but Bob begins to run out of breath, and he says that he can't go on like this. Tombstone begins to walk up, and Deadpool says, fine. And he pushes Bob into a pile of trash, and he continues to run. Tombstone points his gun at Bob, asking, where is he going? And Bob tells him, I'm not gonna tell you. I did what I was supposed to do. Tombstone tells him, you got a point. That means you're pretty useless now, right? Just then, Tombstone hears a truck honking its horn, and as he turns back, Deadpool crashes into him, pinning him into a wall. Deadpool leans out of the window, stating, just so you know, this was all my plan, no one else's. You gave me what I wanted, so suck on that, Tombstone. Tombstone tries to free himself, and Deadpool gets out of the truck, telling Bob, all right, things are going to be okay. I promise, Bob. A short while later at the department store, Deadpool looks at the clothes, stating, this isn't going to work. We need something good. And Bob sits there stating that they should have just let Tombstone shoot him. It's gonna happen sooner or later. And that truck isn't gonna hold him forever. Why are you even dragging me around anyway? I can't help you with this. It'd be so much easier if you just left me behind. Deadpool asks, what, you think it's easy dying? Maybe for you, sure, but look at all the hard work I've had to do. Bob shouts, I did the hard part. Now it's just as easy for you to die like everyone else. Deadpool pauses, stating, crap, you're right. It would be easy. And no matter who gets to do it, it's ultimately going to be simple, ordinary, unworthy of her. Bob yells, wait, you're doing all of this for a girl? Don't you realize how stupid that is? And Deadpool says, actually, I know. So that settles it. Neither of us are going to die. Here's the plan. We don't need disguises. He looks back at the mirror and he begins to take off his mask. And as he looks at himself, he realizes that he's all healed. And he says, huh? I ain't seen that face in a while. Bob takes off his costume, and when he looks at Deadpool, he says, wow, so that's what you really look like? No one's gonna recognize you. Later at the Grand Central Station, Psylocke sits in a crowd checking the minds of passerbys. Deadpool looks around and sees Nightcrawler sitting in the shadows and quietly says, crap, they're here. And Bob asks, what was that? And Deadpool tells him, I Forgot to eat breakfast. Gotta go get some coffee and donuts. Bob says, okay, and he leaves. And Deadpool asks, how am I gonna deal with Nightcrawler? Psylocke begins to scan the crowd again, and she thinks that she's got something. Then someone punches her and knocks her out. Nightcrawler calls out what's going on, and when he gets no answer, he teleports in, but he's suddenly kicked from behind. Nightcrawler begins to look around asking who, and when he grabs the closest person, the man looks back and asks what he's doing. Deadpool's voice tells him nope, and then Nightcrawler is punched, and a blonde, clean, and mortal Deadpool says, it was me. Deadpool hurries back to Bob, stating that they have to hurry and catch the train, and Bob says, should I be worried or anything? As the doors begin to close, Deadpool tells him, not at all, buddy. We're home. But as the doors shut, a hand reaches out, grabbing Deadpool by the tie, and he pulls him back and throwing him to the ground. Wolverine stands over him, telling him, you're looking real sharp, but you still smell like crap. Bob runs out of the door, throwing his coffee at Wolverine, shouting, I am so freaking scared right now! Wolverine punches and knocks Bob out, but when Wolverine is shot several times in the chest, Deadpool tells him, I ditched the costume, but not the guns. Phantom X says, well, I have both. And my guns are not empty. Deadpool looks back over at Bob and he sighs, stating, not here. If you gun me down here, my buddy Bob is a dead man. Look, I know I screwed up big time. I know this is all my fault. But right now, I don't want to die anymore, even though I know I deserve it. Just let me figure out a way to keep Bob safe. You have my word. I'll meet up with you afterwards and you can shoot me until your fingers are numb. Just, God, please let me save my friend. Phantom X stares for a moment and asks, is he lying? And Psylocke says that she can't tell. Wolverine then says, I can. And he holds out his claws and he pulls them back, stating, you got 3 days, Deadpool. Deadpool tells him, I'm not sure if 3 days are gonna work. And Wolverine tells him again, 3 days. After that, you report for duty. We got a lead in a Merc factory we can check out. Don't be late. Wolverine begins to help Nightcrawler up, and before he leaves, he turns back and asks, how does it feel to be alive again? Deadpool looks at his hand and he smiles and says, honestly, it feels pretty freaking great, man. Wolverine looks away and says, yeah, I figured as much. And a second later, Nightcrawler teleports everyone away. A few moments later, Bob begins to wake up and he asks, are we out of danger now, Mr. Deadpool? And Deadpool says, from them? Yeah. From Tombstone? No, but don't worry about him. Because as long as he's alive, Tombstone is going to be trying to kill me and not worry about you. Bob says that he doesn't have a healing factor anymore, though, and Deadpool says, yeah, that's gonna make it a little harder, but not impossible. Come on, you know me. When have I ever done anything easy and impossible? But that's what I do, Bob. As he wakes up from another nightmare, he screams, stop looking at me! And he begins to realize that he has a face like any other man. And he should probably start taking care of it, and that means having a morning shave. Deadpool begins to pick up his razor and he stares at it for a moment, thinking that he can't remember the last time that he used one of these. So, halfway through and several cuts later, Deadpool decides that he wears a mask for a reason, so better go put that on. As he eats his morning burrito, he tells himself that he's feeling confident, like he's reached an all-time high. The Merc with the mouth is back, baby, and that means killing some people who really deserve it. Later in the North Sea, MODOK gathers the members of his intelligentsia to discuss what they've always talked about: world domination! The only problem is that neither he nor the others have an actual plan of how this is going to work. Trapster tells MODOK not to worry, he can always count on him. Everyone looks at Trapster and begins to laugh, and Wizard says that they already know that they can't count on him for anything. After all, they are geniuses. Just then, Deadpool calls out to the group stating, hey geniuses, if you're all so smart, why am I the only one wearing a life jacket? He pushes the button on the detonator and suddenly there's a series of booms. He says, oh, and by the way, if you really wanted to take the Hulk off the board, you just lift him off the ground a few inches with an anti-grav unit or something. He wouldn't be able to do crap! Anyways, adios you evil nerds! He slams the hatch shut as he climbs back out, and everyone runs to try and escape. But as they pull on the door, it gets stuck. Claw tells everyone to back up, he's gonna open it, and MODOK shouts for him to stop. But Claw fires a blast at the door and the water begins to flood in. Outside of the ship, Deadpool speeds off, stating, haha, and that's how it gets done. You know what? What? He looks back to see Trapster floating above him, and Trapster tells him, anti-grav units. Thanks for the idea, Dingleberry. He starts to spray the lifeboat with glue, and Deadpool jumps into the water to try and come up with a plan. But then Deadpool remembers that he's the one wearing the life jacket, which will just bring him back to the top anyway. So it gives him time to aim up, and he starts shooting out of the water, grazing Trapster. But as he surfaces for air, he sees several things thrown into the water. Deadpool asks, what the hell is that? And as he looks underwater, he notices that they're bombs, and he doesn't have his healing factor. Dagnabbit. The bombs go off, and Trapster gets back on his anti-grav unit when he sees Deadpool's body floating to the top, and he says, I did it. I did it! Oh my god, I beat Deadpool! Later, as Trapster returns to the others, Red Ghost says that he does realize that Deadpool will just come back, right? And Trapster tells him, so what? I'll beat him down again. I'm Trapster, the guy that beat Deadpool. Back out on sea, Deadpool pulls himself out onto the lifeboat, coughing up water, stating that he just had the crappiest dream ever. His pinky was blown off and he was destroyed by Paste Pot Pete. As he stands up, his brain tells him no. That happened. It was all real. Deadpool washes up, yelling to himself that it's all just a nightmare, and his brain tells him, no dude, it happened. The question now is, are we gonna let it happen again? And Deadpool shouts, hell no! 2 weeks later, Deadpool turns to the only person that knows more about his fighting style than anyone else, Taskmaster. Taskmaster asks, what do you want? And Deadpool tells him, I need you to train me to do what I normally do. Taskmaster says, that doesn't make sense, Deadpool. How am I supposed to teach Deadpool to fight like Deadpool? Deadpool tells him, look, all I want is a little refresher course. And with your photo blah 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 reflexes, it makes complete sense. Plus, with you being a merc as well, you know how business works. If you want to stay on top, you gotta tighten your game. Taskmaster tells him, right. You want me to help you tighten your game. Are you gonna pay? And Deadpool tells him, nope. My ego simply wouldn't allow it. So Taskmaster stops for a moment and says, actually, the best kind of training is on-the-job training, and there's only one thing that we could do for that. A week later, out at the Secret Shield installation in southern Nevada, Deadpool looks through his binoculars asking, really? Taskmaster tells him, yeah. Ever wonder how S.H.I.E.L.D. is able to show up at a moment's notice with a ton of heavy ordnance mobiles and stuff like that? PIM particles. They use it to shrink things. That Ant-Man guy invented them so that he can miniaturize weapons and equipment for rapid deployment. That bunker over there, well, we're gonna rob it. Deadpool asks, why haven't you pulled this job off before? And Taskmaster says, because it's a two-man job and you're the only guy I want to do it with. Deadpool tells him that it's touching in a very uncomfortable kind of way. So how are we gonna do this? Taskmaster tells him, just like Deadpool fashion, you're gonna walk right up to the front door. And Deadpool asks, is that gonna work? And Taskmaster tells him, trust me, I've studied you for years. Half the jobs I've gotten away with were because I copied you. Just don't overthink it. You know why we're here, S.H.I.E.L.D. does it. By the time they figure it out, it's gonna be too late. Deadpool pauses and says, that actually makes perfect sense to me. A few moments later, he begins to walk up towards the bunker, and as he crosses the gate, the alarms begin to go off. A large robotic snake slithers out, stating, turn back immediately to avoid prosecution and or death. Deadpool asks, do you know who I am? And after a quick scan, it determines that he is in fact Deadpool, so it fires at him. He looks back to see where Taskmaster went, and when he sees that Taskmaster is running into the bunker, he quickly realizes that maybe Taskmaster set him up. Meanwhile, over in Intelligentsia's hideout, Wizard tells Trapster that he can stop bragging now. Deadpool's already back at it again. Trapster asks, what is he doing? And Wizard pulls up a feed from the security cameras at that remote S.H.I.E.L.D. bunker. Trapster watches and sees Deadpool fighting, but he's still missing his pinky. If 2 weeks went by, why hasn't his pinky regrown? And then hits Trapster. He asks, where is that facility? Back over at the S.H.I.E.L.D. bunker, Deadpool shoots at the robots, thinking, why don't you know you just leave? The old Deadpool could just stand here and get shot up, but this new one can't. It's like switching from a badass to a punk ass. He jumps up from behind a rock that he was hiding behind and begins to shoot the robots, again wondering how Taskmaster is doing. Hopefully, just as bad. But inside the bunker, as Taskmaster opens up the crate with the PIM particles, he begins to laugh, shouting, I'm rich! But outside, Deadpool runs out of bullets, and as he tries to escape into the facility, one of the robots locks onto him and fires. But nothing happens. Deadpool looks back from inside the walls asking, what just? But Trapster's voice tells him, you're welcome! Now hope that sweet, sweet candy ass of yours is ready for another heinous beatdown. Trapster floats down going on stating, I know your little secret. And Deadpool tells him, I know yours too, Paste Pot Pete. Trapster tells him, no one calls me that anymore. And Deadpool says, dude, everyone calls you that. Look, let me kick in a little more knowledge too. We're surrounded. Trapster looks around at all the new robots and Deadpool says, you should have brought a real gun, you dummy. And the robots begin to shoot at Trapster, so Deadpool takes this chance to also shoot at Trapster. But after missing his last 4 shots, the robots look at Deadpool, and Deadpool quickly tosses his gun, stating, whoa, I'm unarmed. The robot scans Deadpool and comes back with unarmed, threat level low. The robots all begin to spin back, targeting Trapster, but Deadpool runs inside of the bunker, stating, okay, if I were a bunch of science molecules, where would I be hiding? As he runs into the next room, he finds another robot snake, except bigger, much, much bigger. He sighs as he turns back and says, okay, can't save Taskmaster right now, gotta save Trapster. As he runs back outside, he tells Trapster, I'm gonna need your gun. The killer robots won't come after you once you're unarmed. Also, the boots. Give me those too. Before Deadpool can run back out, Trapster stops him, telling him, thank you. And Deadpool tells him, hey, screw you. And then he promptly gives him the bird. Come after me again, I ought to make you into a one-man human centipede. So Deadpool takes his newly acquired glue gun and he runs back into the bunker and into the room with the giant robot. Using the magnetic boots, he jumps up and over the robot's blast and he sprays glue all over their heads. When the larger one tries to target Deadpool, it couldn't tell the difference between Deadpool and the other robots, so it starts to fire at everyone. Deadpool calls out to the lesser robots, asking if they're really gonna let him get away with that. And the smaller robots look at each other and they start shooting at the larger one. Deadpool pulls his feet out of the boots and he runs away shouting, insert badass one-liner here! Down the hallway, Taskmaster peers out of a bathroom stating, there you are. And Deadpool tells him, yeah. And he punches Taskmaster. Taskmaster stumbles back telling him, you stupid, I almost dropped the pim particles. And Deadpool tells him, is that all you have to say? I could have died out there. All I was a distraction for some stupid pimp particles. Taskmaster stares for a moment and says, dude, these things make Ant-Man, well, Ant-Man. Just then there's a loud boom as the giant robot from before blasts a hole into the bathroom. Taskmaster says, you know what, fine, I can't take the lead. Deadpool tells him, sure, just follow me. And he punches the vial holding the pim particles. Taskmaster grabs Deadpool shouting, you stupid freaking blah. And Deadpool tells him to chill. Deadpool then grabs Taskmaster and jumps through the particles, shrinking themselves, landing directly into the toilet. Later, after traveling down a really disgusting river of, well, grossness, Deadpool asks how long are they going to be tiny. Taskmaster tells him not too much longer. But what's really bothering me is the smell. Deadpool says, yeah, I thought you'd be used to that seeing as you're a total turd and all. Taskmaster says, why are you acting all butthurt? You didn't just lose out on your biggest payday of your life. Deadpool shouts, I just saved your life. I don't have my healing factor anymore, so... And Taskmaster tells him, I know that. You only have 9 fingers. You had 9 fingers since last week. You losing your healing factor has the only explanation I could think of. Other than that nasty nail-biting habit of finally reaching a new level. You're probably angry about this whole thing, huh? And Deadpool says, give me a sec. Yeah, I am. And Taskmaster tells him, good, then the next part won't matter. So here it goes. Last week when you showed up, there was a call made and some money transferred. I sold you out to Black Box. Have fun with that. As Deadpool wakes up and sits on the toilet to do his morning business, he looks up from his paper, stating, whoa, this isn't right. Didn't I kill you? Holding a gun in the doorway, Black Swan says, in a sense, yes. And when he returns the favor, then they'll be even. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This run began 8 days ago when Swan noticed someone was trying to reach out to him. When Swan saw his name spelled out in lights on a building, his phone rang. Black Box told him that he was a hard man to find, but an even harder man to kill. He's calling in offering something that they both wish for, the death of Deadpool. Swan said that it couldn't be done, but that was when Black Box told him that there have been some drastic changes. A few days after that, while trying to figure out what to do next, Deadpool begins to argue with himself over whether this whole being mortal thing is really his fault. Which, by the way, it totally was, but after seeing his pinky not regrowing back, Deadpool figures that he's gonna have to talk to the one person who can actually fix all of this, Cable, except Cable's in a coma. So Deadpool decides that he needs to try and find a way to not be caught with his pants down, which brings us back to the current day with Swan holding Deadpool up with his pants down. Deadpool tells him, are you at least gonna let me flush? And Swan tells him he actually insists on it. So Deadpool reaches back and that's when he says, that's what I always liked about you. You're a true gentleman, Swan. As he flushes, he then dives into the tub as a grenade shoots back up from the back of the toilet and into the air. Now you might be wondering, how would Deadpool survive a blast with only a shower curtain to protect him? Well, that's because 3 days before this, Deadpool called up Doomsday Depot and bought one. Duh. As the grenade goes off, Deadpool covers his ears while he's safely protected by the blast with his anti-ballistic shower curtain. As the smoke begins to clear, Deadpool pulls up his pants and he sees a puddle of blood on the floor. He tells Swan that it looks like he's leaking from an artery, so if he's got something to say, he better say it quick because... Just then, Deadpool's brain tells him that he better drop the gun. It has cooties. He screams like a girl, throwing the gun down, and then he asks, wait, what about knives? His brain tells him that knives would give him the clap. He's infested, better call an ambulance. So Deadpool runs over to grab a phone, tripping over a foot and smacking his head. As he gets back up, he says, haha, now I get it. Those are telepathic suggestions, aren't they? Swan sits up in the corner holding his neck to stop the blood from pouring out and he stares right back at Deadpool. Deadpool gets up telling him, "Yikes! The carotid artery, huh? Maybe an ambulance would be helpful. Remember that time you used your powers to jack the healing factor? Haha, those were the days, weren't they, Swan? But from here on out, we're just gonna have to deal with yes and no questions. So can you nod your head back and forth?" Meanwhile, back over at Black Box's hideout, Black Box sees the connection to Swan has been terminated, and before he shouts, he calms himself, stating that this is okay. He'll just go to the next one on the list, Black Tom Cassidy. A few days later, somewhere over Amarillo, Texas, Deadpool speeds through the desert, stating that this trip sucks. Not only did I miss the world's largest ball of aluminum foil, but I found the world's suckiest cup of coffee. As Deadpool tosses the cup out the window, he does it in front of a highway patrol officer. And obviously, within seconds, Deadpool's pulled over. He tells the officer that he doesn't have a driver's license. And the officer says that that's funny because the great state of Texas requires him to have one. Deadpool then asks, "Does that apply to everyone, even if I'm not from Texas? I'm just passing through, you know, so how about I just keep on doing that and I'll be out of your hair?" The officer says that he's unlicensed and probably uninsured. He's gonna need him to step out of the car nice and slow. As the officer pulls out his gun, Deadpool asks, "Aren't you gonna ask if I have any weapons on me, like guns, knives, or explosives?" The officer then asks, "Well, do you have any of that?" And Deadpool tells him, "I've got all of that!" A few moments later, as the highway patrolmen in Texas surround him, Deadpool begins to wonder, why does this stuff keep happening to me? The next part actually happened 2 days ago, though, when Deadpool ran into Black Tom. You know, the guy that shoots energy blasts from a stick? That guy. As Deadpool was beating him down, he asked him, "What's with all the people with the word black in their names coming after me anyway? Black Box, Black Swan, Black Eye," and then Deadpool punches Black Tom in the eye. Deadpool then asks, "Who's next? Black Axe?" Black Tom gets up telling him, "Well, I'll tell you who's gonna be next." But before Deadpool could pull the trigger, he notices his guns are missing from his hands and that he's being dragged outside. As a tree holds Deadpool up, he asks, "You can still do the whole control the plants thing? Wasn't that retconned at some point?" However, before Black Tom could finish Deadpool off, he gets a call from Black Box telling him to remember that they only want to incapacitate Deadpool, not kill him. They had an agreement. Black Tom says that he only thought that it was more of a suggestion. And as the two begin to go on and argue, Deadpool frees himself from the tree's grasp, shouting that he should have just brought a tree to a gunfight, and he begins to shoot. Which once again brings us back to the current day, where Deadpool is now surrounded while carrying a ridiculous amount of guns. Deadpool looks around to try and find a way out when he notices that he's in a parking lot of a convenience store, which totally has burritos. As the officers get ready to move in, Black Tom steps out of the shadows telling him, "I'll be taking it from here. You can bobble on now." The officers look at each other and then turn their guns to Black Tom, shouting for him to freeze. He then asks, "Is this how it's going to be? A showdown? Well then, draw." He points his fingers like guns, and the trailers of the logs that he's standing on fire a blast right next to Deadpool's car. One of the officers says, "You know what? If that guy wants to deal with Deadpool, let him." Inside of the convenience store, one of the workers says that they need to get over here right now. But back over at the microwave, Deadpool says, "Can you guys wait like 40 seconds? My burrito is almost done." Just then, the front of the store explodes and Black Tom walks out asking, "Where are you? Where's the man with the red and black mask?" Deadpool then realizes that Black Tom doesn't know what he looks like when he's not all scarred up, so he should probably take this chance and not blow it. Except Deadpool then remembers that he's not a wuss, pulls his mask down, and begins to shoot at Black Tom. After a few seconds of silence, Deadpool looks over the counter asking, "What's the quickest way out of here?" Black Tom leans up on the other side of the counter, blasting him out the window next to the gas pumps. Deadpool shouts back, "Ow! That may have broken my butt!" Meanwhile, up in the sky, Black Swan tells Black Box that Black Tom is getting ready to finish him off. Black Box then says that he wants to be there when it happens. Is it possible to persuade Black Tom to wait until he arrives? Black Swan then begins to use his telepathic ability, stating that he's rather certain of it, and back on the ground, Black Tom gets ready to kill Deadpool, but then stops, and instead he kicks him in the stomach, stating that it should have been quick. Deadpool then crawls out from behind the pumps, and Black Tom asks, "What was you said before? You shouldn't have brought a tree to a gunfight? So what did you bring?" Deadpool then pulls out one of the nozzles from the pumps, holds up a lighter, and says, "Flamethrower! How do you like me now, Lorax?" Okay, last flashback, but this one has Deadpool when he was just a young boy in school getting in trouble. The principal tells his dad that young Wade is in the boys' bathroom with matches. He's holding it close to his, rear end. Deadpool's dad then sighs, stating not again, and the principal says that this is something he's done before. So Deadpool's dad says that he's just trying to pretend he's a superhero. He created the human flamethrower. Back at our current time, you can see where this is going. It's a foreshadowing flashback. Deadpool holds the gas nozzle between his legs as if to light his own fart, shouting, "I'm the human flamethrower! Woo!" As Deadpool pats his butt to put out the fire, he yells, "Justice is served from my butt!" Up in the air, Black Tom's attack helicopter locks on and he says, "Finally, you can die as you lived, stupidly." But as Black Box fires the missiles, Deadpool lights the nozzle up again, creating a giant flame that creates a thermal updraft and surprisingly avoids being blown up himself. Black Box's helicopter swerves to avoid the fire but ends up hitting one of the light posts nearby, crashing. Deadpool's brain tells him that he should probably stop all of this now, and then Deadpool asks, "Why? I realize I'm kind of on fire and don't have a healing factor." But after burning most of his head, Deadpool looks at Black Tom shouting, "It was you! You did this! You made me ugly again! I burned myself!" Deadpool then gets ready to set him on fire, but the voice then tells him, "No, you've always been ugly, and you've done this all by yourself, again and again." Deadpool pauses and says, "So what you're saying is..." Swan then steps out, stating, "You're the bad guy. Embrace it." Deadpool shouts back, "Like hell I'm the bad guy! I've just gotta..." And then one of the patrol cars explodes and Deadpool finishes stating, "I'm just misunderstood!" As Deadpool falls, he lands on a pile of feathers and a voice tells him, "Everyone understands you. Everyone except yourself." Deadpool wakes up in a bed and he looks over at Black Swan and says, "Oh yeah? If I'm so bad, why did I save your life?" Okay, seriously, last flashback, I promise. Back when Deadpool almost killed Swan, he actually saved him and said that he needed something secret. Just not now. Gotta get everyone together first. Swan says that it's done, both of them. Black Box and Black Tom had forgotten that he lost his healing factor. Now but Deadpool stops him shouting, "No, our deal is done. Peace in the Middle East, I'm out." Swan says, "Actually, I was hoping to bring you in." Partnership would have been a more accurate statement, but since you're returning, the mercenary landscape has changed. Certain markets have become closed to me. Deadpool yells, "What? You want to bring me back in to open them all back up? You think the two of us are the same? Well, newsflash, we ain't. If you think you got some leverage for saving me, you're wrong. If the world finds out that I can be killed, I'm not a bad guy, but I can do some real bad freaking things." In a rather well-lit back alley, our hero Deadpool finds himself pleading his case that he is not the same man that he used to be. The old him is dead, and now he's just different. Heck, his whole outlook on life is different. He just isn't that guy anymore. Don't you understand what I'm trying to say? Deadpool hears the clicking of a gun and he sighs. Guess not. Looks like you just don't care. Or you don't understand, or maybe I don't understand. Considering I'm talking to a monkey, hit monkey to be exact. But while Deadpool tries to not die by the world's cutest and furriest assassin, over in Washington, D.C. at the FBI's Office of Public Affairs, Special Agent Allison Kemp resigns. Not because she is a tetraplegic bound to a wheelchair, but because she never captured Deadpool. Normally, that isn't something that someone would resign over. In fact, it all started 9 years ago when Agent Kemp went undercover working for an illegal arms dealer. The FBI was keeping tabs on the dealer, while an ATF agent was undercover with the sellers. Nothing was going smoothly until that night of the first deal, and that's when Deadpool showed up and literally brought the house down on top of Kemp. He left her trapped under the rubble while killing off everyone else, and that leads us back to the current time, where Deadpool is basically doing the exact same thing, except now he's shooting at a monkey. Deadpool asks Hit Monkey, "Do you even know why you're fighting? Hell, this probably isn't even your idea. It's that guy's, isn't it?" Hit Monkey grunts as he looks over and sees a man standing in a suit, and Deadpool says, "That guy over there, yeah, you can see him! I can see all kinds of wacky crap. Call it a gift or a mental defect, whichever is fine. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that bad things happened. Something really bad happened. Something hit so hard that it knocked everything out of that head. And that's when he showed up, right? To guide you? Two things I've learned from my experience. First, having a sense of direction isn't the same as being lost. And two, he's not real." Hit Monkey takes off his glasses and stares at the man as he fades away. He then rips off his tie with a loud "Hey!" and Deadpool yells, "Chill, homie!" As Hit Monkey screams and swings away. Deadpool thinks, holy crap, maybe the past is behind him now. Meanwhile, back in DC, Agent Kemp tells the board that she thanks them for giving her the chance to be a part of something that many people have only dreamed of. Though her time spent here has filled her with pride and honor, she must move on to the next chapter of her life, something that involves personal matters. 2 days later, those personal matters become apparent when she's quite obviously working on the death of Deadpool. It's just that this time, Agent Kemp has some outside help in the form of T-Ray and Slayback. But while this is being set up, weeks pass and Deadpool begins to have the sudden realization while in the bathroom that it's been 2 weeks and he still looks all burned. The only good thing about his weird power situation is that his pinky apparently grew back. But hey, luckily he's still not dead, right? Back with Agent Kemp on her flying helicarrier, she tells T-Ray and Slayback that she has spent a lot of money upgrading and resurrecting both of them. For now, she'll test those enhancements by showing what can be done against a training simulation of Deadpool. T-Ray shouts, "We don't need no stupid training. We got all the training we needed on the job. We already know how to deal with that punk Deadpool." And Agent Kemp says, "Right. Well, that punk wiped the floor with both of you on every occasion. I'm the one who knows everything about Deadpool. I'm the one who spent over a decade studying every move that he's ever made. I'm also the one who made the training program. I've brought you back to life, so be assured that I can and will reverse that process if necessary." A short while later, inside of the training room, the simulation begins, and as Deadpool stands at the stage of a circle, he yells, "Welcome to the greatest show on Earth!" Deadpool jumps down shouting, "Oh, bang, 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 I'm banging you, silly!" Slayback gets ready to charge him, but before he does, the simulation Deadpool throws out 2 small grenades, knocking the 2 of them to the ground. As the smoke begins to clear, Deadpool calls out to Agent Kemp, asking if she would turn up the difficulty on these 2, because this is as easy as it's going to get. T-Ray jumps up, grabbing Deadpool, telling him that he should have never closed the distance. "Your ass is mine!" Deadpool drops some gas bombs, asking, "Your gas is mine? Okie dokie." As the simulation Deadpool continues to beat the 2 of them into submission, Agent Kemp turns off the program and says that they failed. Horribly. Try again. Back in the ground, though, Deadpool walks out of a diner thinking to himself that he should probably take on a job. Not paying for meatloaf is kind of scummy, and sorry he isn't going to cut it anymore. Speaking of sorry, when somebody wrongs him, he doesn't want a sorry, right? He should be getting even with them. He turns and kicks in the boarded doorway and yells, "What up, melon farmer?" Taskmaster looks up and says, "Aw, crap!" He reaches for his gun and Deadpool asks, "What do you got there? A wedgie?" As Taskmaster begins to shoot, Deadpool shouts, "Dude, it's not a wedgie! That's a gun! Why in God's name would you have a gun under your butt? Having a gun in there is dangerous!" Taskmaster shoots Deadpool's gun out of his hand, stating, "Shut up!" and ha! Deadpool, however, laughs at him, and Taskmaster then notices the grenade that was thrown next to him. The grenade goes off, burning Taskmaster up, and Deadpool walks through the smoke, stating, "How about we call it off with the guns and stuff for now?" Just then, Deadpool jumps through with a knife, and Taskmaster yells, "Wait, I'm sorry, Deadpool holds his knife to Taskmaster's face, telling him, "Really? Because I'm not buying it. Why did you come after me then?" And Taskmaster tells him, "Because you came after me!" Deadpool tells him, "I only came after you for a job." Taskmaster asks, "A job?" And Deadpool says, "Yeah, a mercenary job. We are mercenaries." "Wait, you thought this is about you selling me out to Black Box?" Taskmaster tells him, "Well, yeah." And Deadpool tells him, "I should, and I would. But the way I see it, nobody's ever going to forgive me if I can't forgive them." Taskmaster tells him, "That's actually, very mature of you, Deadpool." After letting out a disgusting fart and almost making Taskmaster throw up, Deadpool says, "How about we call it even while I get some information?" Taskmaster coughs, stating, "Well, a couple of my pals stopped by." A few minutes later, after Deadpool leaves, Taskmaster turns on the screen and tells Agent Kemp, "Okay, he just left. Now give me that money." Now, a short while later in the helicarrier gym, T-Ray and Slayback work out, getting themselves ready for Deadpool. Agent Kemp then comes in. T-Ray flexes, asking, "You come to see the gun show?" And Agent Kemp tells him, no, she's come with information that Deadpool is on his way. T-Ray asks, "On his way? You know what that means, right?" And Agent Kemp tells him, of course she does. Just then, the power of the helicarrier is turned off, and Agent Kemp finishes by stating, "He's already here." Slayback shouts, asking, "What are we gonna do? We're gonna die! We need to get off this damn ship!" Agent Kemp tells him that the parachutes are located in Storage E, end of the central corridor to the right. As Slayback runs out, T-Ray then asks, "Why would you tell him that? That was my partner." Agent Kemp tells him that he was going to die regardless. Better not take them down with him. Outside as Slayback jump, he pulls the pin on the parachute, except the parachute was actually a bomb. Deadpool laughs to himself, stating, "Ha ha! One down!" However, T-Ray called my bluff. He then flips the power switch back on, restoring everything to normal, stating, "I'm just gonna have to do this old school." Back in the gym, T-Ray knocks off one of the weights on the barbell, telling Agent Kemp to stay here, looking pretty while he goes and handles business. T-Ray begins to make his way through the hallway, but when he stops at the cafeteria, he pauses and kicks the door in. Deadpool asks, "How long are we supposed to wait after eating before I kick someone's butt? I really don't want to get a cramp. Besides, didn't I kill you once before?" T-Ray gets ready to fight, asking, "How's that working out for you?" And Deadpool laughs, telling him, "It's funny that you mentioned working out." T-Ray stops and looks at the barbell, stating, "No way. The barbell? You put a pipe bomb in the barbell? That's old school, man." Deadpool goes on telling him, "This is how it's gonna play out. You're gonna tell me who's bankrolling this whole thing, and you're gonna walk away." T-Ray asks, "What's this, negotiating? This is new for you. Is it because you lost that healing factor?" Deadpool pulls out the detonator, and T-Ray says, "Here's my counter offer. Go ahead and push it." T-Ray then punches Deadpool, knocking the detonator out of his hand, catching it, telling him, "Thank you. Now I'm gonna beat you to death with a bomb that you made." As T-Ray completely destroys Deadpool, Agent Kemp radios in that she would like for him to bring Deadpool topside. T-Ray picks Deadpool up and throws him out onto the ceiling, stating, "No problem." A few moments later, as Deadpool sits with the barbells wrapped around him, T-Ray asks, "What you think? I even put a bow on him. You can push the button if you'd like." Agent Kemp tells him, "No, thank you. I will observe from here. But before we finish things, I have something to say to you. My name is Allison Kemp. And many years ago, you caused an explosion that cost me the use of nearly my entire body. Despite my disability, I've risen to the ranks of both the FBI and Interpol. Those achievements, however, mean nothing to me. There's one thing that I've always wanted ever since that day, and that is revenge. Though my body shall remain broken, I will nonetheless be made whole by your death." T-Ray bursts out laughing, stating, "That's my cue. This is gonna be epic, because no one could ever rig up an improvised explosive device like him." T-Ray pushes the button and there's a loud explosion. As debris falls, Deadpool looks back and Agent Kemp tells him that if the barbell was actually a pipe bomb, he would have triggered it while they were in the gym. A bomb rigged to look like a detonator? For that, you would need a psychological strike. That's why the bomb set up on her wheelchair is not a ploy. She will not be denied her revenge, even if it kills her. Deadpool sits there for a moment and he begins to laugh. It serves me right. I should have offed you the first time around. How the hell did you even survive? Usually when I blow someone up, I really blow them the hell up. What's your name again? Agent Kemp begins to tell him. Kemp. Special Agent Allison. Deadpool stops her. Whoa, 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 whoa! You're a cop? Kemp then goes on stating that she was undercover when he... But Deadpool stops her asking, how the hell was I supposed to know you were a cop? You're probably with a bunch of really bad guys, right? Bunch of guys who deserve to get blown up? And I'm guessing you volunteered for that, right? Thought so. You rolled the dice and you lost. You're just pissed off because you can't walk is all. Blowing us both up isn't gonna make you whole, it's gonna make you dead. Jeez, lady, get your head out of your ass. A few moments later, Agent Kemp deactivates the bomb, stating that this has all been for nothing. Deadpool lets out a sigh of relief, stating, I can't believe that worked. But another voice tells him actually, it didn't. Become apparent to her that even if she killed him, sooner or later he'd come back. You know, like herpes, or me. Evil Pool shows up, telling him, because for some things, there's no cure. Deadpool says, wait, how? The serum! His evil doppelganger, made up of cut-off body parts of Deadpool, tells him. It didn't work, well, not permanently at least. Deadpool groans and Evil Pool asks, what's that look about? Is it disappointment or hope or what? Deadpool thinks to himself, that's why his finger grew back. Evil Pool then asks, what's going on in your head? How about we have a look? Evil Pool takes the gun and pulls the trigger. And that is the end of Deadpool. Or is it? Thank you for watching today's episode of Comicstorian: A Full Story. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this and who your favorite superhero is. And don't forget, you can check out the Comicstorian main channel to get daily videos. You can join us over at Comicstorian Movies, aka Absolutely, the podcast channel, to get our opinions on everything going on in the world of superhero movies, comic books, and video games. Or you can join us over at Mangastorian, where we talk about manga. And don't forget to click the link down below to support us further. This hot sauce is a hot sauce that we have created. Hatch and Jalapeno is a flavor that we created, which involves infusing whiskey into a hot sauce. No, it's not alcoholic, and yes, it is FDA approved. Anyway, once again, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll see you next time, right here.